Bring in, as promised, Academy Award-winning documentary filmmaker Michael Moore. Michael, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is Rachel Maddow. Good evening, Rachel.
Good evening, Keith.
There's been a spike in the desire to own guns in Connecticut. Statewide, over 90,000 guns have been authorized for sale. You know how I feel about it.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Good evening, my fellow patriots, fellow Americans. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. It is November 14th. I want to say 14th. Man, I can't even write straight tonight. It's going to be one of those days. No, it's going to be a great night. We have Prepper Recon joining us in the bottom of the hour. We're going to be talking about all things prepping. We're also going to bring in a new sponsor tonight. I want to tell everybody about Mountain View Off-Grid Living. You can find them on the web at www.mountainviewoffgridliving.com for all your prepping supplies. They've got some pretty neat products out there. You know, I know there's a lot of people out there that are selling water filters, a lot of radio shows and stuff that are pushing that. Yeah, I just want to, full disclosure. We're not here to make money off of the prepping community. We're here to support our efforts, to grow our station. But we're not here to accept huge advertising money. So they're a sponsor of the show. Pay a very nominal fee. If you want to know what they pay, actually, you can go out and advertise with us. You're going to pay the same thing they pay. It's like $6. $6 a month to advertise on the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. So we highly recommend that you go out and look at their products and services. I know I'm looking for a Pro Pure filter. I know where I'm going to be getting it. Also looking for a stove. They got a pretty cool stove out there that they're selling. So got to keep warm. Got to keep warm, especially in these cold winter nights here in the great state of Wisconsin. It's incredible. Winter is upon us. So like I said, we got a jam-packed show for you. But before we get into that, I do want to do a little house cleaning. Now, no, I did not get flamed today. I didn't get any hate mail. But we do this thing called air checking. And what that is, that's a process of us going back and listening to our last night's shows. And I want to apologize to Dave Bray, Madison Rising, who was on the show last night. I want to apologize to him for two things. Number one, I said brother. And I just want to make sure that people understand. Not a Marine. I never was a Marine. Was not in the armed services. I actually was a support personnel as a government contractor. And I just want to make sure what I wanted to say, and sometimes our tongues get tied as we get into the conversation here. So when I was referring to brother, I was referring as Brother Patriot. So I just want to clear that air. I wanted to let you know that even we make a mistake here at the Midnight Patriot. The other thing, too, is I call him a former Marine. And what was so funny or ironic about that, there's no such thing as a former Marine. But what's the irony of that is right before we went on the air, we were joking about that. We were joking about former Marine and just cutting up about it. And so I do want to apologize to them. Hey, can't be perfect. Can't be perfect. We all make mistakes. And unlike the President of the United States, Obama, when I make a mistake, I'm sincere. I want to apologize. I don't need to be called out about it. I'll do it on my own. So you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. When we get back from the break, we got some news items that we're going to talk about. Bring you up to speed on what went on today, the apology. Some news. Holder impeachment hearing, possibly. NSA, CIA. CIA is now looking at your financial transactions. We're going to talk about that. Going to ask you, how sincere do you actually think Obama was? I've got my answer. But when we get back from the break, we'll talk about it. And then at the bottom of the hour, Prepper Recon will be joining us. We'll talk about everything prepping. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com.
Save us from ourselves and our own self-destruction. God only knows we need help. Looking for a hero, someone who cares about the future, not about themselves, but about the idea of America. We need a hero, someone to show the way. We need a hero who speaks for the people and what we have to say. We still believe this land of the free is still America. You know this freedom is anything but free. What we have here depends on those who will fight for what they believe. When we stand together, there's nothing that we can't achieve. This nation of people standing as one in the name of liberty. We need a hero, someone to show the way. We need a hero who speaks for the people and what we have to say. We still believe this land of the free is still America. We still believe in the land of the free. We need a miracle. We need a miracle. We need a miracle. Someone to show us the way. We need a hero who speaks for the people and what we have to say. We need a hero today. We need a hero,
That was Madison Rising. Join us on the web. Actually, join them on the web. Let's first give them a plug. Where's my manners? Gosh. Stepping all over it tonight, guys. So now, go to the Madison Rising's website. That's madisonrising.com. They were on, Dave Bray was on the show last night. Great story. I don't know if you guys know, ever watch TV. I really don't get to watch TV, doing the show, getting ready and everything. Do a lot of reading. But he talked about how the Star Spangled Banner We'll be playing that a little bit later. How that came about. Talk about Tosh 2.0 complaining about the Star Spangled Banner being a war song, and other comedians jumping on board to that. It's amazing. It's amazing. You know, that they just don't realize the freedom that they have to spill their vile sense of humor. If you ever watch some of these comedians, you actually watch their shows that they do on HBO and different things, it's vile. You know, it's just vile. It's pop culture, though, but it's vile. And the fact that they don't realize they would never get away with that type of humor in any other country other than the United States. And the only reason why they're allowed to get away with it in the United States is the men and women that put on this nation's uniform. And the Constitution of the United States. And it's amazing that they're going to sit there and criticize the Star Spangled Banner. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So that's a great, I highly recommend that you go back and you listen to that. Listen to that show. And everything. It was a great show. I had good times. Yesterday we actually had to get, we got caught up on some things. We're able to do a little bit more news and interviews than the interviews yesterday. So it was a good day. Felt like I got to spend some good quality time with you, our listeners. Because without you, this show would not be the success that it has become. 5 weeks. I want to let everybody know, 5 weeks we've been doing this show. And we got well over 2,000 listeners. Now, in the radio business, in the Rush Limbaugh, we're definitely small fish. But in the radio business, we're what they would qualify as middle tier. 2,000 listeners. We have 7,000 listeners. That puts us up there with some of the radio stations in the Chicago or the main markets. So you can see we are affecting change. And with that change, we're making some more changes. We have ordered our digital hybrid. That will be here. So we'll have better phone quality. We'll be able to take more calls. We'll be able to get rid of Blog Talk Radio. Now, I'm not saying anything against Blog Talk Radio. It's just that we've kind of moved up. We've kind of moved up. So we'll be adding that equipment here in the studio here in the next couple of weeks with the phone lines. If you want to support what we do here at the Midnight Patriot, we ask, the best way to support us, get the word out. Get our shows when we post them on Facebook. Share them with your friends. I would like to go into next year with 5,000 listeners. That would be outstanding. That's our goal. January 1, 5,000 listeners. Help me get there. The only way that we're going to be able to get there is by you sharing with your friends. We don't have huge advertising budgets. We don't have, a position on the dial. But if we can get 5,000 listeners to our show, we're making great change. We're making change now. We add anywhere from about 200 listeners a week. So we're on our way. But let's get there. Let's get there. So the best way to do that is tell your friends about us. The other thing you can do to help us is participate. This is a great opportunity for you to call in, talk about what's on your mind. Now, we did realize that we had some issues with our 1-800 number. We believe that is fixed. I'll know after we take the break. We think that that's all resolved. And everything. Had our glitches. But enough of that. Let's get into the news. That's what we're here for. Gotta ask. Do you really believe this president is sincere? I do. Everybody's going, as everybody takes a gas. I do. I think he's sincere in the fact that he knows his backside is on the block, as they would say. It's family show. And let me tell you why. There is such an outpour for this president and his demise. The only thing that's keeping him in office are those seats that the Democrats hold in the Senate. That's the only thing. Now, the problem is he's left those senators bruised and battered on the battlefield. There are a lot of those senators who are coming up to midterm elections. And if any indication of what happened in Virginia with McAuliffe is an indication of what's probably going to happen to these senators, it doesn't look good. It looks great for us. Don't get me wrong. It looks outstanding for us. It doesn't look good for him. And the thing is that I've always said that there's a buffer between him and impeachment called the Senate. That's dwindling. And I think he sees that. So I think he actually truly is sincere about his apology, not to the American people. I think that message was to his supporters. I still think this president can care less. If he could find a way of sticking it to us more to promote his redistribution of wealth, he would do it. And he is doing it. This is a last-ditch effort. He was given an ultimatum by the Dem leaders. He had 72 hours. You had until Friday to fix this problem, or we will fix it for you. The House Republicans, Nancy Pelosi, how scary is this, says that they have a fix. Now, I told you last night on the show, and I'll say it again, they are going to implement some kind of national health care or national insurance rescue plan. They're going to call it something. They're going to give it a name. So it's like, oh, we're saving the American people. They're going to, call it that. And when you look at it, in essence, it's going to be a one-payer system. Watch. Now, I know that Obama's plan basically threw the insurance companies under the bus today. And we'll talk about that. We get a little bit of time later on in the show. I don't know if we'll be able to fully get into it as we get ready for Prepper Recon to join us in a little bit. But, we'll try. Now, let me kind of break this down for you, what I think is going to happen. You're going to have the Democrat House is going to come up with a bill. They're going to propose that the government pick up the tab for all of these uninsured people that are affected by this, right? One payer. That's what it is. Because you got to remember, the government doesn't make money. The revenues in order to pick up the tab is going to come from the American people, right? So, I'm just saying, just wait. But I bet you that's what the bills are going to look like. It's going to have some kind of, now they might spin it in such a way where it goes right to that edge of being a one-payer and pull back. Or they might give it a little relief. But in essence, it's going to take some form of a one-payer system. Right? And the problem is, as we all know, once government implements something, they don't pull anything back. It always goes up, never comes back down. So we'll wait and see. We'll hear about it tomorrow or in the next couple of days. But, the nice thing is Obama is being seen for what he truly is. Truly is. Now, the press is trying really hard to accommodate him, but they can't, they're losing readers. They're losing credibility. They see all of the media or all of the people going towards Fox. It's the last thing they want. So this is a big push to try to right their ship. But the problem is that he can stand up there and say, oh, it falls on me, I should have known better, I should have done all this. My question is this, Mr. President. We are paying the American people for all of these experts that you have around you, that you touted, that you said whatever. It's time that we get our money back. It's time that we fire these individuals and get people in there, right? If you're truly sincere about your apology, and you truly care about the American people, like any CEO of a major corporation who had a flawed website launch, if this was a corporation and they launched, if this was a Amazon or a, Barnes and Noble or whoever, Walgreens, CVS, Walmart, and this was a launch of their product website, and it was this disastrous, and the CEO, the vice president, the infrastructure IT managers, and all of them, were up there lying to the board of directors. We're your board, Mr. President. The American people are your board of directors. We're not your employees. We're not your subjects. You answer to us. And you lied to us. So if you're truly sincere about your apology, I ask that you show that. And I'm sorry. I'm sure that you're going to upset some of your longtime communist friends. I'm sure you are. Your pals, your buddies. As you guys were scheming these plans long before you became president of the United States. I'm sure you're going to upset that card. But if you're truly sincere, I think it's time you let heads roll. I think it's time that you hold people accountable. That's what we do in corporate America. So what is it, Mr. President? When are you truly going to show the American people that you're a leader? I don't think you're going to do it, though. Because you're not. You're a community organizer. If you could find blame for this, you would have been up there pushing blame. But you can't do it. We're on to you. We are on to you. The American people are on to you. They don't even listen to you anymore, Mr. President. Now, I happen to like Fox News. I know it's slanted journalism in some regard, but I happen to like them. But it's pretty embarrassing, Mr. President, when more Americans trust Fox News than you. And that's not the standard 50% party line Americans. That's even the Dems. That's even the Dems. Your party is distancing themselves from you. It's coming, Mr. President. It's coming. Pelosi's now going to introduce a House bill. Feinstein is giving you the ultimatum. Senators who supported you are now distancing themselves from you. I've always said on this show, we're wasting our time going for an impeachment process. We don't have the votes in the Senate. I don't know. I'm going to have to rethink that. I was maybe wrong. I don't know. I can tell you one thing, though. If we do take the Senate and we keep the House, I am sure the discussion will be there. Now, of course, you're going to have moderate Republicans who won't go with it. We know that. We know who they are. Part of the machine, Those Republicans that have been there so long that they don't know right from wrong. They don't know who they represent anymore. Well, they know who they represent. The problem is that they don't realize that they can't represent corporations. They were sent there to represent the people, and they don't. So I don't know. This is going to be an interesting midterm. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. So was he sincere? I think he's a man running scared. I think he's smart enough to realize that his days are numbered. His days are numbered. And that's what I think you saw today with this press conference. He had two today. He had one earlier in the day. I don't know, most people it was in the morning, talking about the relaxing of sanctions against Iran. Of course, Mr. President. You got to destabilize that area a little bit more, don't you? You know, he also talked about immigration. You know, we'll talk about when we get back from the break, actually, in Prepper Recon, when we're done with that, we will talk about some of the things that were not said in his speeches this morning about Iran and also immigration. Should be concerning. It's out in the open, America. It really is. If you listen to his words, he tells you exactly where he's coming from. So if you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast, you know exactly where I'm coming from. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us on the web every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. When we get back, we'll talk with Prepper Recon, take your calls, and go into a little bit more news. Join us on the web.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, oh, the red march we watched were so gallantly Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight you in name. The name of the brave. We are the U.S. of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's your future to save. Stand of the brave. The U.S. of A. Oh, soldiers and stars, spangled banner gave way for the land of the brave. In the
Out of control spending, a government that no longer works for the people. Had enough? Then vote for Stone Anthony for president. Replace politicians with a citizen statesman. www.stoneanthony2016.com.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. You can join us live every night, every Monday through Friday here at the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast from 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time. Well, without further ado, as you guys all know, as our regular listeners know, it is Thursday. Thursday only means one thing around here at the Midnight Patriot radio show. That means Prepper Recon's going to join us. Hey, Prepper. Hey, Mark. How are you, buddy?
Doing good, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, my friend. Doing pretty good.
Awesome. Thanks for having me back on the show. It's always an honor to be on the Midnight Patriot.
What else? It's one of those things. We're glad to have you. It's an honor that you have taken time out of your busy day and your schedule to join us to share all things prepping with our audience and everything. Hey, we got a new sponsor.
Awesome.
Prepping sponsor. They knew that we did the show on Thursday, so they jumped in. That's Mountain View Off-Grid Living.
Very cool.
Yeah, they're a new organization. They've been burning up Facebook. I've been watching them as their likes and friend requests and stuff have been going out, and I've been watching them, and finally we got together, and now they're going to be sponsoring the show, and of course we'll be talking about them on the prepping show. So how's life by you? How are things in the world of Mark?
Man, I tell you what, the weather has finally turned nice down here. I suppose you're probably getting cold up there, but it's really just turned nice like yesterday.
Yeah.
Because in South Florida, we still get the four seasons. We get we get almost summer, still summer, and tourist season. So, and so we're getting into tourist season, and it's really, really nice down here. It was like 74, 75 all day today. So I got an early Christmas present today. I got my solar panels to complete my solar energy system. And so I'm building the brackets on top of my tool shed to mount the solar panels, and hopefully have that all operational tomorrow. So I'm kind of doing my own Grid X2 operation here.
Your own Grid X2. Well, now do you have to worry about, like, up here? Well, and you are correct. We actually had our first snowfall earlier this week. Had about a half inch, so it's awesome. We love it. Of course, the snow came before we can get all the leaves off the ground, so now we're gonna have to deal with that. But I gotta ask, with your solar panels, did you have to get any permits to do that? Or are you just a rebel? I know you're a rebel, but are you just doing it,
I didn't ask. It's easier to get forgiveness than permission, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, in our city,
I didn't say what county I was in.
No, we have no idea.
They probably got drones.
They got drones. I was gonna say they're gonna.
Who's got the illegal solar panels?
Yeah, they got
I got water collection buckets back there too. I don't know if I'm allowed to have those in my county.
That's funny. Yeah, because
they'll lock you up. They'll lock you up in some states for catching rainwater.
Yes, diverting the water. So I know that. Yeah. I know it's crazy. No, it's funny because where we live, actually, you have to have a permit to put a satellite dish on your roof. On your roof, you actually have to have a permit in order to do that. Anything you want to add to the structure of your building or mount to the exterior of your building, you have to have a permit, and that includes solar panels, which is just it's crazy.
Yeah, you probably do. You have to have a permit to put your flag up on your mailbox that says you have mail in the mailbox here. So I'm sure you do.
Well, there was a city, we joke, but no, you're serious about it, because there is not the mailbox, but there was a city in Florida, a municipality, who actually fined residents for putting signs in their front yard.
Wow.
Yeah, you got to have a sign for it, which is just that just goes to show you, what we've become. We had Lisa Marie Johnson on, and it was funny. And I am looking at Pahrump, Nevada right now. We were on looking at the Real Estate Watch, looking at, because Sandy and I, we are looking for our bug out space, our bug out place. And, Lisa Marie made a comment about on the show. She's like, if you want to build a shed, you build a shed here. We don't, we can care less. And so I was like, that's interesting, So we're getting there. So that kind of goes. I think tonight we were going to talk about shelter in space or in place or bugging out, or are we swapping up tonight?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But while we're on the subject of overbearing government, we have to have a permit to put up sheds here.
Yeah.
And we've got a limit. They can only be, I think, 8 foot high is the restriction, and then there's a certain cubic footage that they're allowed to have, and they're very, very restrictive about having a shed here. Thomas Jefferson said, "A wise and frugal government, which shall restrain men from injuring one another, which shall leave them otherwise free to regulate their own pursuits of industry and improvements, and shall not take from the mouth of labor and bread it has earned. This is the sum of good government."
Yep.
Yeah, and then that's what they had in mind when they were on the battlefield taking shots from the redcoats. I think they would have probably never done it if they knew this is what we were gonna end up with.
Yep.
There was this story last week about the guy that did a roll-through stop in the Walmart parking lot in New Mexico, and they took the guy in and they gave him 8 body cavity searches for drugs and never found any after 8 of them.
Because he clenched his cheeks. That is what they said. That's what the officer said.
Everybody involved in that should be imprisoned for sexual assault.
Yes.
For gang rape.
Yes.
Every one of them should be executed.
Yeah,
Because the punishment should be worse for sexual assault. We should execute people, and we would have a lot less of it. And everybody involved in that, from the arresting officer to their commanding officers that didn't fire them or have them incarcerated, to the governor that didn't have everybody in that chain of command incarcerated. Everybody involved in that, from the arresting officer all the way up to the governor of the state, should be incarcerated.
Yep. No, they absolutely. I think it goes to what I was saying earlier this morning. Talking about Obama, if he was truly sincere, there should be some heads rolling. And these servants of the American people, they come out and they make these false policy or apologies, and that's exactly what they are. They're not true, because they continue to roll right on. And if we say sorry, they'll forgive us. And I don't think they're realizing that. Yeah, America by itself is a forgiving nation. We tend to forgive our leaders for their indiscretions, and if we feel that their apologies are sincere. But I think what's happened now, we just heard it too many times, and now we just don't even care. I mean, we're just to the point where we're just like, yeah, whatever. Today, Obama. It's gotten to the point now where American, even today when he was apologizing about Obamacare, everybody's just like, yeah, whatever. Whatever. You've already told us you're going to lie. You're like the kid that can, I didn't do it. I don't, and we just thrown our hands up, and we just walked away from you. And earlier I was, my comment about that was, he's doing that to save his skin. But you're right. If people knew that they were going to lose their jobs over this, I'm sure that the apologies would be followed by actions very quickly. And I don't know if you know this, but the disturbing, that case, we've been following it. There's two things actually that were criminal. I mean, obviously the searches, the body cavity searches, were criminal in themselves. But the other part of it is, a lot of people aren't, the warrant that was issued by the judge.
He should be incarcerated too.
Well, that warrant was only supposed to be executed in the county in which that judge had authority. The problem with it is that when they took him to the first hospital, the doctor at the first hospital said, that's unethical. I ain't going to do that. I'm not even going to touch it. So they loaded the guy up in a car and took him across the county line and took him to another hospital. That in itself is illegal. They had no jurisdiction to do that. And you're absolutely right. At that point, even the doctors that were involved don't have a legal right, because they didn't have the legal authority to carry. They couldn't say, well, the judge told me to do it, and blah blah blah. They shouldn't have done it to begin with. Don't get me wrong. My belief is they shouldn't have done it to begin with. But the problem is now is that they don't have a legal basis in which they did it. You're absolutely right. When the minute they took that man across state lines, they committed rape. They committed a sexual battery. And you're absolutely right. They should be charged.
Yeah.
They didn't have the authority. It's crazy. It's crazy. But did you hear the UN? The UN are saviors. It's pretty bad when we use those two words together.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, it is. But the UN came out today, and they're actually looking at drones. They're actually possibly going to outlaw the use of drones in war or in conflict. They're going to take it to The Hague and maybe consider it a war crime to use unmanned drones or robots in time of war. Now, does that mean we're going to listen? No. But,
Not allowed to spy on leaders of free nations either, are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't we have some kind of agreement with the Pope and the leader of Germany that we won't spy
Yeah,
on
we're
them?
not supposed to. Well, yeah, you're supposed to be.
Because Vatican City, I mean, that's a sovereign state. He's the leader of a sovereign state, the Pope. Whatever you think of him.
No, it's just gotten to the point, and then today, and this is, I thought it was kind of a myth out there, but no, there is mounting concern that our president of the United States could possibly face The Hague for war crimes for his support and the genocide of the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, and that's a serious charge. And I think our State Department is struggling to try to get some kind of deal worked out with the leaders of Egypt, the current leaders, to make sure that those documents don't get see the light of day and stuff. So there's some rumors going around about, not rumors, there's actual discussion about the persecution or prosecution of the United States president. That's just unbelievable that we're going to have a sitting president who's actually possibly could be facing an indictment for war crimes. I know that they tried to charge President Bush with them, but it never went, it never went through because he was basically protected by his going to Congress prior to starting any wars. But because President Obama did not do that with Egypt, he is looking at possibly a war crime.
Now, if you're convicted of a war crime, do you still get to keep your Nobel Peace Prize?
Yeah, that thing. What a joke.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's okay because I get to keep my health plan that doesn't exist anymore.
That does.
Yeah. Is that like you telling your kid that they can have a pet dinosaur? Yeah, you can have a Tyrannosaurus Rex if you want one.
Yeah. If
Tell Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Yeah, get it.
Yeah. I was watching that today, and they're like, "Oh, we got the his fix is that you can keep your." It's like, Mr. President, there's 20 million of us that don't have health care, so what do we get to keep? It's a zero-sum game here that you did for us. Thank you very much. And and then now you've got the insurance companies that are now pushing back and saying, he can promise all he wants to. We are not required by law to reinsure these people.
Oh, they loved him when they thought they were going to get all these new people signing up. So good for them.
26,000.
Yeah.
We were joking about that yesterday. Is that we get that many hits on our on a week? It's crazy. It's insane. And then I don't know if you saw it over the weekend. There was 3 IT guys that got together over the weekend. 3 of them in their garage, and they built a Obamacare website. They built it it did everything that Obamacare's website's supposed to do. And now, obviously, it didn't. They haven't tested it for scale, but it actually logs in. It actually does. It does present your plans for the state. They use the information that was out there, as far as some of the other websites where you can estimate your costs prior to the Obamacare launch. But yeah, over the weekend, these three IT students got together and they built an Obamacare website, and it was hilarious. I was reading about it on one of the IT rags, and they said it's actually more secure. It's it works. It works.
Yep. How did they not know to outsource that to a private company and let some kids do it?
Well, they did. They did outsource it to the private company. The problem is they outsourced it to a company that has ties with the party, and basically stole $300 million from the American people. I mean, it's a mess. It goes back to the whole thing. Obviously we all remember Acorn, right? You would think this administration would learn. They hired Acorn people that were, in that Acorn debacle. They're now navigators. Well, they got them on video again. Oh yeah, lie, cheat. Say whatever you want to say. Don't. It's just lawlessness. We go back to that. It's a mafia. It's a Chicago mafia running our country.
It is.
The only thing is the Chicago mafia would still get things done, though.
Yeah.
That's the difference. That's the difference. There's no, as they say in Chicago, there is no mafia. It's all family. There's no mafia in Chicago.
Yeah,
but they would get it done to give them the creds there. They would definitely, if the mafia was running the show, things would get done. Unlike this administration, it's scary. I think the end play is going to be a one-payer system.
I think that was the design from the rip.
Yeah. Obama.
That's the reason the fines are so low.
Yep.
So that people will just wait until they get sick, and instead of paying for the insurance, pay the fine until you get sick, and then sign up. Wait till open enrollment rolls back around. Sign up with your pre-existing condition, and within 3 to 5 years, all the insurance companies will be broke, and we'll have to go to the single payer. And I think that was the plan from the rip. I know they couldn't get it through legislation, so they're going to do it through this sort of a default mechanism.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about this on a show. I know that you were dialing in and stuff, so you probably didn't hear it. I know Nancy Pelosi's going to come up with her plan tomorrow, and I swear it's going to be something like the National Healthcare Emergency Act, and they're basically going to say all the 20 million people that are out there will be covered for medical services until they can get on the exchange. And but that's a form of, that's a form of one payer system, and then then you're going to have people, what's going to end up happening is that the people that don't have the income or the resources to get onto the Obamacare system will just stay on this national payer system. And I think that's the play. That's what we're going to see here. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I think that's the way this is going to end up. And, of course, the people that don't contribute are going to love it, and they're going to tout how great it is. And, of course, the news media is going to shove a camera in their face, and we're going to hear that side of the story, but we're not going to hear the side of the story of the struggling middle-class family with 2 kids that has to pay, inflated insurance costs to cover them, or the ones that have lost. So it's just, I don't know. And then, this whole Obamacare plan hinges on the younger crowd to contribute. It's a Ponzi scheme, and the problem is that it's another one. But the problem is that the younger crowd, they're not part of the scheme. They don't want anything to do with it. They're obviously not signing up. And the other thing too is they can't afford it because they can't find jobs. All the jobs have been shipped out, and all the high-paying jobs have been shipped out. I don't know about you, but we have a McDonald's here where I live. They're looking for employees. You got to have a bachelor's degree to work the counter at McDonald's. Yeah.
You got to be the doctor to be the manager.
They do have McDonald's U in Illinois that you have to go to. But yeah, no, it's unbelievable. That tells you how bad the labor market is. That at McDonald's, they know that there's enough people out there with bachelor degrees that are looking for work and will take anything that they can get because their benefits have ran out. You can apply, you get a job, but you got to have a bachelor's degree. So it's crazy. It's insane.
Unbelievable.
I know.
Unbelievable. Well, at least we got an apology, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We got another apology that we didn't even ask for. Andrew Husser, he was the manager of QE1.
Yes, I saw that.
He managed the first $125 trillion of mortgage-backed securities buying program. He said that it turns out that it didn't really help the public. Yes. That it just extracted money through quantitative easing from the pockets of savers.
Yes.
Average working class Americans, and all of that extracted value went straight to the big banks. Yeah, and
the news there though with that is what's amazing is that he wrote an op-ed. He wasn't in an interview, and it's not like some investigative reporter tripped him up. He actually got God or whatever it was, maybe woke up one morning, God came down and smacked him on the back of the head and said, "Thanks for sticking it to my people," because he actually volunteered that information. He didn't have to, but he actually volunteered that information, I guess, as a form of penance for his actions, because I think he's realized now what he has contributed to the downfall of America. I read that. We talked about that last night on last night's show. And
probably like Christmas Carol from Dickens. Yeah. Probably the ghost of America past.
Yeah. Have you ever read The Economic Hitman?
No.
I got to get that. I know someone that knows him, and knows the author, and I got to get his name and stuff because we were talking about it. Great, but I actually got introduced to The Economic Hitman. This guy worked for the IMF, and his job, and the WTO, his job was to go into developing countries and basically sell them loans and money and give them money to corrupt them, and so that the governments then can come in and control them and say, if you don't do what we tell you to do, we're going to get you for corruption, and not only that, we're going to bankrupt your company, and basically we're going to give you an ungodly amount of money so we can come in and rape and pillage your country. And he wrote a book, and no one's arguing the fact that his position at the IMF and the World Trade, no one's arguing that. Everybody's like, yeah, his job was that. That's what he did. He got I don't know if he found God or if he just woke up, God smacked him in the back of the head and said, you can't do this anymore. But he actually went, this guy, talk about a pair. He went down to Central America where he helped overthrow their Democratic elected leader, actually killed, the guy was killed in a mysterious plane crash, right? And he apologized to them. He sat in this university with all these citizens around him, and he apologized to them for what he did. And they were about to have his head. It was, you got to watch. It's, I think you can actually get it on Netflix. But the title of the book that he wrote was called Economic Hitman. And it exposes the toxic loans and stuff that these organizations give to these developing countries so they can get control of the countries and the leaders of those countries. They bribe them basically, and then they say, oh, if you tell on us, then we're going to tell your people that you made $200 million off of them. And down there they tend to execute people for doing that. So, but it's the same thing. Same thing. This guy, it is. I think this should be a good indication when you have people purging their souls and stuff, people at high levels purging their souls. I think that's a good indicator. We're not fear-mongering here. We're just realists here at the Midnight Patriot. I think that should be a good indication that they know something's coming, and they don't want it to be attributed to them, because the backlash is going to be severe in this country.
Well, Andrew Hauser said in his op-ed, he said, we were working feverishly to preserve the impression that the Fed knew what it was doing.
Yeah.
All our markets are built on confidence.
Yes. Yes.
If people knew that that's what they're thinking right now, because absolutely nothing's changed, they're still, and that's a direct quote from his op-ed, they're still working feverishly to preserve the impression that the Fed knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And so if the markets would just kind of like snap out of their stupor and realize that nobody knows what's going on, all of the confidence would flow out of the market. And when the confidence flows out of the market will collapse on it. It'll just pancake down.
Yeah. Yep.
And that'll be the end of everything. And so people got to start prepping.
Yeah, no, they do. We tend to forget. The part of Nazi Germany, we all remember, the Holocaust and, Hitler and all that. But the thing that they do forget about Nazi Germany that is not talked about very much is Weimar and the collapse of the Weimar. And Germany, Hitler came in and basically said, they injected money to the people. So what they did is they gave everybody jobs, gave everybody health care, and they injected that money into their economy through the people, and they built a hyperinflation scenario. And it collapsed, and that that led to war eventually, and and of course they had to blame someone. So conveniently, part of the blame was laid at the feet of the bankers, the Jewish bankers. Because of course, and that's what you're seeing here. When it collapses, they're going to be blaming. I don't know who they're going to blame. There's so many cast of characters, you can pick a few, but that's the same thing. What they've done in this scenario, though, is that they pump money into the market, and they introduce the money into the market through the stock market, not through businesses or propping up businesses. And the problem, you're absolutely right, but the outcome is going to be the same. You're going to have a hyperinflation scenario once the market crashes, and it will. That's why, everybody, it's funny. Market hit new high today, and everybody's patting themselves on the back. It's like, where's that money coming from? Yeah. It's coming from the Fed.
It's not from the 11 million people who dropped out of the workforce. I suspect that those 11 million people that have dropped out of the workforce since Obama took office, it's not because everything was so rosy. They said, hey, well, everything's going so good, I think we could just retire and kick back now.
Yep.
I don't think that's why they left the workforce. And in Weimar, they were restricted by their ability to print the physical currency because
Yes.
we didn't have computers and the type of trading platforms that we have now, to where they can just hit a couple of zeros on the computer and instantaneously
Yes.
the money's created by a couple of keystrokes. In the Weimar Republic, they had to physically have the ink and the paper and produce the currency,
Yes.
and they still were able to produce such an amount that people would go to the grocery with a wheelbarrow full of money and to go in to buy groceries, and they'd come back and the money was still there, but the wheelbarrow was gone.
Yes.
Somebody stole the wheelbarrow.
Yeah, they took the wheelbarrow but kept the money.
Yeah, Janet Yellen said she's basically outlawed the word taper now. It's QE to infinity and beyond.
Yes. Yes.
So
No,
I think the metals are a gift at these prices. You've
Yes.
got gold below $1,300, silver below $21. I think they're a gift.
yeah, I actually think with the shutting down of the mining there in the lead mine and stuff at Doe Run, I think lead, you're going to see lead, which is funny. It's not, but it is. But you're going to see lead probably hit the prices that silver was before, before all of this, started to happen. I mean, it was, I can see lead at $5-6 or $10 a pound or an ounce. I mean, it's just unbelievable, just unbelievable. But we can only tell people so much, right? And people got to start taking action. I mean, like I said, we're looking for new property. I was on Craigslist last night looking for a bug out vehicle, and stacking this stuff up. So we're getting there. I mean, we're getting there. And then I was talking with Sue over at Mountain View, and looking at water filtration systems, and then of course stove. Being here in Wisconsin,
you gotta have heat.
Got to have heat. So they have a stove that's supposed to be just phenomenal. I guess the inventor of the stove is actually in Washington D.C. right now. There's a big green event going on, and he's giving demonstrations to it, and the thing is supposed to be efficient. So I'm going to be checking that out. But because I was looking at buying a pellet stove for my house here as a backup, but this system looks like you can actually wire it right into your chimney as well. So we'll, it is what it is. We gotta get ready. So should I stay or should I go, Mark? That's the question.
Well, you only want to bug out when it increases your chance to survive. So basically, the only time you're going to want to bug out is if there's been a chemical spill in your area, and you know which way the prevailing winds are, you know how far it is, you've got all the information, and you can make an accurate decision, and you've got your bug out bag, and you can throw it in the car, and you can be out within 5 minutes of everybody else knowing. Because if you get on the expressway and it's a traffic jam and those fumes start coming your way, your car's not going to filter that out. Even if you've got the windows rolled up and recirculating the AC inside, you're still going to be better off if you would have stayed home, got out a roll of duct tape and started taping up the windows and door seals. And that's another good reason to have a gas mask, because you don't know when those kind of things happen. Most of us live in some type of metropolitan area, and we're within 5 or 10 miles of a train, and all it takes is a train to derail with the wrong chemicals on it, and the air around you can actually be poisoned.
Yeah.
So that's one of the times you would bug out, is when you know that you can get away before those fumes hit you. And the same thing with a dirty bomb. If a dirty bomb went off 10 miles away from you, and you know that radiation's heading your way, and you found out before everybody else, you can grab your bug out bag and you can be on the road in 5 minutes. If you can't and you don't know those things, then you shelter in place always. A couple other times you absolutely want to bug out is when the government tells you to. If there's a flood, or if there's a hurricane, or if there's a forest fire approaching your home, and we always see the news story of the idiots that stayed behind, they didn't leave. And with Hurricane Sandy, what we heard a lot in after Katrina, we heard that people, they didn't have the money to leave.
Yeah.
And that's step 2 in my 7-step survival plan is your budget, and coming up with an emergency fund. And if you've got an emergency fund, even if it's just $500 or $600, even if you don't have a car and you've got a couple of days notice on a hurricane, you can get a bus ticket and go rent a cheap hotel room and know that you're going to survive and not have to go through the trauma and not have your family go through the trauma, not have your children go through the trauma of living through a Category 4, Category 5 storm or a forest fire or something like that where you can't leave because you didn't plan and you don't have the resources to get out. And another good thing to do is when you're bugging out, you always want to have cash because you never know if ATMs are going to be down or whatever. We've talked about that before, making sure you have some cash on hand. But you also make sure you've got a credit card. I had Zion Prepper on my show back when I first started the podcast about 7 or 8 months ago, and he was in New York during 9/11, and they were trying to get out of town because they didn't know what was going to happen, and they were going to get gas, and they went to the gas station. The attendant had locked the door and left the building, but he left the pumps on, and he was able to get gas because he was able to just do the swipe pay with his credit card.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that people are always planning. Oh, well, I got to make sure I've got cash. I got to make sure I've got silver and gold and ammo and all this kind of thing. You know what? In that situation, it was the credit card that got him out. So you want to have a little bit of everything, and that's just a really good example of when just having a credit card helped him.
Sure.
So, even if people aren't big credit card people, or even if you've had trouble with credit, you can always get a prepaid card.
Yeah. And, actually, I think the prepaid systems, believe it or not, would probably be better than the credit card systems because you're going to have a mass run on whenever you have a mass scenario, you're going to have a mass run on those systems where a smaller organization that's not tied to a JP Morgan Chase or whatever, more than likely, they're going to be a little bit more, they're not going to have as much of a run as you would as a JP Morgan or a Bank America card or whatever. So, yeah. I mean, I'm a firm believer, regardless of your credit situation, I'm a firm believer that you do all online transactions with a prepaid debit card or a card that's tied to a PayPal account that, and you use that PayPal account to do it because, I don't know about you, but I've had credit card theft already, on several occasions on if it's tied to your bank account, if you use your debit card for a transaction, you have zero recourse. I think $50 is what they give you back. I mean, I've had my bank call me and ask me if I was in Russia.
Wow.
No,
I'm not.
No, I'm not. I'm right here in Northbrook, Illinois, and it's crazy because, it's funny. I've had it happen to me twice where I was, luckily I wasn't traveling. My old job, I used to travel. And I got a phone call from Chase from their fraud department asking me if I was in, and I'm like, no, I'm sitting right here at my desk. And apparently someone got it. And then about a week later, I get they're a national online gun retail store. They sell, and of course you got to get them through your local dealer. But I bought some firearms from them. And about a week later, I got a letter from them saying their system was compromised. And, that's where, and it was funny because, at a gun thing, but I guess that I was talking to some friends of mine who are in law enforcement at the federal level, and they were saying that gun stores, believe it or not, online gun stores where you buy these guns online and have them shipped to your house, or not to your house, but to your dealer, those stores are like the number one attacked sites besides government sites.
Really?
Yep. They said that they have a high incident of, and you can Google it. I don't want to, because, they fix it. I don't want to, say anything about the name of the company on the air because I don't want to hurt them. It's not their fault, but, it happened. And then, Just the other day, I will tell you, Adobe, I use a sound editing software. Same thing happened. I actually went to go use gas, to fill up gas, and my card was rejected. And I was like, what the heck? Now, luckily, my bank was right across the street. So I walked over, drove over to the bank and walked in and said, why is my card being denied and rejected? And they said, oh, someone got your credit card and we locked it down. So they were able to print me up a new card right there, actually a temporary card that I could use. And then about a week later, I get a letter in the mail from Adobe. Adobe, the guys that make PDF players, and they're a major corporation, and they said that they got compromised.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just so from that period on, I looked at Sandy. I said, this is strange, and we're going to probably feel awkward, but we went to a local, like a currency exchange. And we got one of their prepaid. And then it was funny because the girl was like, she knew that we kind of were out of place, but I didn't know where to go. And then she just said, she's like, you can go to Walmart and get these at Walmart. So, I didn't know that. So I'm a huge proponent of that. Is I don't buy anything with my debit or credit cards online. I transfer the money into the account and then use that card. So. As I buy my burner cell phones too, by the way. I do. I have one. I did a whole story on that, on the whole process. I got to dig that one up and probably bring it back up to people on if you're concerned about the government tracking you, the whole process that you can go through. This is, what they call spycraft, and how you can, get burner cell phones and still maintain a number in which people can reach you at, and then the phone itself, you can change the phone out every month. And so we actually explain how to do that. And that way your phone number never changes, but the physical phone that they're tracking you with, you can change it every month if you want, if you so desire to do that with. So we actually talked about that.
Very smart.
Yeah. So, well, so you're saying we shouldn't go unless the government, see, I didn't expect that from you, Mark, to be honest with you. Because if the government told me to do something in a time of emergency like that, I don't think I'm going to do it. Because, I just...
Well, if they're telling you to go, then they absolutely, even though they know it's going to cause, they're going to lose money from not having the economic activity going on or whatever, then you really, really need to go. And we saw that with Hurricane Sandy. We saw the government tell the residents of New York that they needed to get out.
Yeah.
And then we heard them say, if you're not going to leave, make sure you have 3 days worth of food and water.
Yeah.
And then the day after, we see the video of Chuck Schumer walking through the wreckage. We see the lady coming out of her house. Yeah. When's the government going to get here?
Yeah.
Where's the government? Tell Obama we need food. We need clothes.
Yeah.
You didn't listen when they said leave. You didn't listen when they said get 3 days worth of food and water. And you're mad at them because they're not there yet.
Yeah. They're still mad at them. They're still mad at them. I was watching a report the other day, it's almost been over a year it's been over a year, and they're still saying, well, the government's still not giving us. I don't know. I don't know what we have to do to get people to realize that they need to not rely on the government for their substance and everything. So okay, so I decided to stay at home. I know that you mentioned something about duct tape.
Uh-huh.
And, what are obviously we got our food, we got our water, and everything. What are some of the items, so when we're sheltering at home, what are some of the items that we should have? Obviously, we always talk about food and stuff, so what are some of the other items that we should have here at our home?
Gas masks, and you can get those from Allergy Be Gone for about $40.
Sure.
You can get them, they run a lot higher at other outlets. You can pay upwards towards $150, $175 a piece, but Allergy Be Gone's got, they've got the excess military from European militaries, and they all use the same NATO filter. So one's just as good as the other, and they're around $40. You should also have iodine tablets, and that just keeps that will keep your liver from soaking up as much radioactive material, and the gas mask will filter out radioactive material and particles in the air to keep that from getting in your lungs, which is one of the big ways people get radiation poison is through their lungs. But of course, you can get it through your skin, and those iodine tablets will keep that down as well, because there's nuclear power plants all over, and a power outage and a prolonged power outage can cause the nuclear reactors to melt down. An earthquake, we've seen that. We've seen it with the tsunami. We've seen that cause so much problems with the reactors in Japan. And then it can also come from terrorism, from a dirty bomb, although that's probably less likely than the nuclear reactors melting down.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's possible as well.
You know, you talk about earthquakes and stuff. There was actually, there's a quarry outside of Chicago, and they do some blasting and stuff. Well, then there were some aftershocks, and the news media actually did. I was watching the news today, and they actually came back to the USGA came back and said that was actually Chicago actually had an earthquake. Right outside of Chicago, which is unusual. Normally we get them from the Mississippi, the valley, they come across there. But this one was actually located, the epicenter, it was a small tremor, was actually located just outside of Chicago. So that, that's very unusual. And the USGA said, yeah, we had one. There's no doubt about it. Now, the question is was it caused because of all the blasting that this quarry does? But they still, things are changing. Things are changing.
Sure. And if you're going to leave, you need to know that you can get where you're going, that you've got enough gas. You need to know that the roads are clear. You need to know that there's not major pockets of civil unrest between where you're at and where you're trying to go. And you need to know that you've got somewhere to go, whether it's whether it's friends or family, or your bug out location. And that's the bug out location is a big ticket item that a lot of people just financially are not going to be able to do. So it's good to have those relationships with your cousins and uncles and brothers and sisters that are in more rural areas to be able to go there. And you want to set up your criteria for, okay, why would I ever abandon my home? What type of situation will force me to leave? And you list all those things, and you know exactly what that criteria is. So that way, when the disaster comes, you've already made the decision. So you're not making that decision under stress, because it's the worst possible time to decide whether you're going to bug in or bug out is when you're stressed out, because you're going to make the wrong decision probably.
That makes perfect sense. Unlike a fire where you go, I got to get out of the house. You're right. I think it's kind of like when you're shooting, you got to build that muscle memory so that's instinctive to yourself. And that's an outstanding point. I think we need to put a list of, these are the things that are going to cause me to go, and I'm not even going to question it, because that's the other part too. When you got two adults in the household, I think you got to have a conversation with the other adult to say, we agree that at this point, we're getting the heck out of Dodge. We're not going to stick around for it.
Yeah.
And I am looking, and I don't know, I'm looking for a site. I was going to ask you about this because I figured you would know about it. I've been watching this site. It's they call them Rad5 events. Have you seen those?
No.
Or RadCon. Here we go. Here you go. I wanted to get your opinion of this. There's a site, apparently it's called RadCon, RADCON. It is a site that, let me go to it. I was going to get your opinion of if you thought it was, but apparently this is a site which lists all the nuclear power plants, and then they have monitors. So they list the monitors, and then when the monitors get above a certain parts per million, they actually send out. It's kind of like a weather site, like a USGA earthquake site. And I didn't know if you actually went to it. Let me get their URL. I was going to ask you, because you can if this is true and it's a legitimate site, you can actually see what's going on in your area, as far as if you got nuclear power plants and things like that. But it's called, they call them RADCON 5 events. Like they were just reporting the other day that there's a RADCON. According to the screen of the chart, 1111 Nuclear Emergency Tracking Center in Salt Lake City, Utah, has just hit a RADCON 5 alert, meaning the radiation level is beyond concerning. Tucson, Arizona, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Dallas, Texas, Idaho Falls, and Denver, Colorado have all been raised to RADCON 4, which states, as you will see in the bottom of the chart, concern or watch. So apparently, there's a Nuclear Emergency Tracking Center, has a system that you can actually go on and watch these radiation levels, and they're attributing all of these to what's coming over from Japan. So I didn't know if you knew anything about that. I was going to ask you about that.
No, I didn't know anything about it. I'm on the site right now, netc.com.
Yeah, I believe that's
short for Nuclear Emergency Tracking Center. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know about it.
So we'll have to put the link on that, because that's scary stuff.
That is scary.
I don't know about you, but RADCON 5, it sounds scary. I don't mean to laugh. I mean, you're reading
panic.
Yeah.
I don't even need to know what it means. It's just panic-inducing to hear that word, RADCON 5.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that sounds horrific.
Yeah, and then they have I saw them a couple times where they call them RADCON A, which means that basically that's a shelter-in-place scenario that you're supposed to stay inside. And we have those in the United States. Apparently, it might be, a natural radon tripping these sensors or whatever. But, like I said, I just came across this news article as I was perusing the web, and I was going to ask you if you knew of anything about it and if it was legit. But it's pretty scary stuff.
That is.
Yeah, I mean it's unbelievable. So we talked about duct tape, we talk about iodine, we talk about gas masks.
Gas masks.
Yeah.
Some thick mill sheeting.
Sure.
Plastic sheeting, and you want to just put that over your windows and duct tape that over the windows. If you don't have the sheeting, then you just duct tape up the cracks.
Sure.
But you're going to be much better off with the sheeting. And in a radiological situation, the more matter you have between you and where the radiation is falling, the better off you're going to be.
Mm-hmm. So
that means, if you can, if you have an interior room that doesn't have any windows, that's going to probably be your best shelter place. And if you can just start piling up stuff on the walls and, maybe even put a table in there and get under the table and start piling stuff up on top of the table, because each little radioactive particle acts like a microwave that's just in a spherical way sending out basically like microwaves that are cooking you.
Yeah. And
that's part of the damage that you get from radiation exposure.
Sure. Now, water. Should we trust our local water if we have any, that's going through the pipes, or should we just go ahead and assume that it's contaminated and go ahead and treat it as such? And
yeah, I think if you've had a dirty bomb in your area or something like that, you should assume that it's compromised.
Sure.
And so if you've got some water already stored, then you know that that's safe. Or if there's any kind of a chemical spill near the water table or whatever, and you've already got water stored, then you're in good shape.
It's funny because we talk about water, we assume that it's always going to be there, but I have friends that live in Northbrook in Illinois, and they were telling me where they were without water for a week just because of the apparently the deterioration of the water system. The water main that went into the city was actually broke, so they had to boil their water to get it. And this is not a disaster scenario. This is just normal everyday life. where they were required for a week to boil their water or to buy it bottled. And this is a pretty affluent area, of Illinois. It's not, like, it's just crazy. But we were talking about water and water supply and what they're doing, and one of my buddies said, well, about a couple years ago, they had a water main break in Illinois, and they were out for about 3 weeks. And even after they fixed the pipe, they were still required to boil it for a couple of weeks because of all the backflow into the system. So, that's a good example. It doesn't have to be an earthquake. It doesn't have to be a typhoon or a, whatever. It could just be a infrastructure breakdown. So
we had a pipe break here about 2 years ago, right during Christmas, and all the bottled water sold off the shelves in the grocery stores, and people were having to boil it and everything. So just day-to-day events that happens all the time.
Yep.
And I guess next week I'll have my solar panels up, and I guess we'll talk about putting together a good solar kit.
That would be awesome. That's something that I've always wanted to. My thing is I was actually thinking about buying the solar panels and not actually putting them up because I don't want to advertise, but just having them set so I can, roll them out very quickly.
But there may be a little bit of a learning curve with putting everything together.
Sure.
Maybe even if you don't mount them on your roof or whatever, you just take them out in the backyard and put it together for a day and make sure that all your equipment's working, because if you forgot to buy one piece, it'd be nice to do that while the internet's still up.
Yeah.
And my whole thing, if all goes well, it looks like I'm in there for about $700.
Wow. Now that's with your
200-watt panels and a 1,000-watt inverter and not the top-of-the-line charge controller, but a decent charge controller and a 35-amp-hour battery, which is the one I bought to go to the expo. But
Sure.
I'll probably bump that up and get a 125-watt
Sure.
battery to add on. So that'll probably be another $200 that I'll sink into it.
Well, yeah, I did take your advice. I did go out, excellent suggestion about I put an inverter in my truck.
Yeah.
In my Yukon. So I have that as a backup because we do lose power here every once in a while with a storm. And so I did get an inverter to
Very good. What?
It's I want to say 400. I can't remember. I just went to the local and I know you're going to get on me. I went to the local Sam's camping store. And just said I want an inverter. I want to be able to run a cooler and maybe some household as a backup off my engine. And they installed it for me. They, I just said put it in. I don't want to fry my electrical system. And,
very cool.
Yeah, so they actually installed it, and it sits in the back of my truck. And they put a plug in you just plug they put a twist lock on it for me, and it just plugs. You just plug it right in, and you're good to go. So it's a nice little. I appreciate that, and that wasn't too bad. It was installed and everything. It was about $250. It was $250, and then another the installation they charged me like $75.
Cool.
Yeah, so it wasn't, and it's a nice one. I guess I don't know.
Very good.
I don't know, Mark. I need you. I need you up here.
It's too cold.
Yeah, I know.
I gotta come down here.
Yeah, I'm learning. I am learning. It was just one of those things where I'm sure.
Doing good, Jeff.
Yeah, no, you guys have made me. You're converting me, and stuff. It's getting pretty funny. Now
I learn stuff from you every week, stuff that I did not know.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad it's a mutual relationship.
Those ways, absolutely.
So next week we will talk about. The other thing, we got to talk about canning, my friend. Before I become.
Turkeys tomorrow.
Are you?
They're 59 cents in the store before Thanksgiving.
Wow.
The rest of the year, turkey breast is a couple bucks a pound.
Yeah.
But they buy them up as a loss leader at Thanksgiving, and buy them up. And you want to keep your canning skills sharpened anyway, because if you don't do it for a couple of years, you completely forget. I haven't canned anything since last Thanksgiving when I canned turkeys.
Sure.
And then 2 weeks ago, we got some pork butts on sale for $1.50 a pound. So I put those in a slow cooker, and I made down here the Cubans have a thing they call mojo, which is They use bitter orange, which is never in season when I'm making Merlot anyway. So I just use grapefruit juice and garlic and onion and salt and pepper in there, and it's just fantastic. And then after you make a big batch of it, and you eat that with white rice and black beans, which is great because I've always got that stuff stored.
Yeah.
And it's just a fantastic meal. And then the leftover, you just put a little barbecue sauce in there, and it is the most amazing barbecue you've ever had because it's got that little hint of the citrus in there with the garlic and the onion, and it just makes fantastic barbecue as well.
See, we'll definitely have to do a canning show. I was out on the web looking, and I'm like, I have no idea. I blow. As Sandy would say, is that my mother made jams and we did pickles and stuff like that, but I don't remember how to. I was a kid when we did it.
People used to do all that stuff all the time on their own, and now nobody. If you can tie your shoe, you're going to be a supervisor.
Yeah.
Because people are just idiots. They can't do anything.
No, you're absolutely.
And we're trained to not be able to do anything. They can text 600 words per minute, but they don't have any practical skills beyond social media.
Yeah, I don't know. I was fortunate enough to know my grandmother before she passed, and she was actually telling me as a kid when we were growing up. When she was a kid, she remembers riding in wagons. And,
my grandmother did too.
And having Indians, attack. That's how far back she goes.
Oh, wow.
And, of course, she's long since passed. But one of the things that she was telling, she would tell me about, the Depression, of course, and how the community came together with the potatoes and, how they would do that. But one of the things that struck me, and a lot of Americans don't realize this, is that when we had the Great Depression, about 80% of the American populace was agriculture or provided for themselves. You didn't have, supermarkets and all of that. It was, you ate what you grew, and, you had the local guys and stuff. And they still had, in the neighborhood of millions of people die of starvation. Now, in today's day and age, you have less than 5% who are actually, can actually sustain themselves through agriculture or planting. I can just imagine what the number's going to look like.
And there was so much more goodwill.
Yes.
In the 30s.
Yes.
Where people would take care of each other, and that 20% that lived in the cities, they could go somewhere. They could probably go to a farm and ask somebody for a plate of food, and they'd probably get it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. People would help each other out, And
now they'll stab you for your pair of tennis shoes.
Well, back then there were still they still
nobody's starving. Nobody needs anything, but they'll stick a knife in your kidneys
for a pair of shoes. Yeah.
For a pair of shoes.
Yep. No, I remember
I got 30 pair already.
Yep. I do. It's funny that you say that because I remember my grandparents. They had their farm. And I remember them talking about there was a section of their farm that they would parse off so that people could come, like corn when they did the sweet corn and grew that, where people can come and pick the corn. And it was a small little bit, but they had, they knew that there were certain people that were hungry in the community, and they would parse off that side and they would say, yeah, you can come and pick the corn. I do remember that now, and them talking about that was a common thing in the community, and they would help each other out like that, with either cows or dairy or but yeah, you're right. Nowadays, you get shot. It's just crazy. So, oh well. We can only lead them, right? You can only give them so much information, and it's up to people to take our advice. I'll tell you. Oh, I was going to ask you about this. Did you see that post? I know you were talking about the Net Geo show about the preppers. Apparently, I didn't get into it because right before the show, apparently Net Geo did another show about preppers just the other day, and they were talking about people who basically said, we're going to come and kill you, if you're a prepper, and then we're just going to take your stuff. Did you see that on Facebook?
No, but good luck.
No, not you, but I'm just saying that Net Geo did another show. And they basically, I saw it right before we went on the air. I was going to ask you if you saw that, because I know that you talked about the original one a while back, but I guess they did another one where they had another group of preppers, and this guy's whole game plan is that he's just going to find out where the preppers are, and he's going to come and take all your stuff, you know. Yeah, like you said, good luck.
What was that plan?
Yeah. Let me know how that worked out for you. Stuff. So.
And my audiobook is finished. It's going into production. It's going to be out by December 1st for sure.
Okay. Well, I've already read your.
It's in the final approval process.
Okay.
So that will definitely be out for people that, if you want to get. If anybody, of course, all of your regular listeners already know about this, but for the folks that are maybe just tuning in tonight for the first time, my new book is just came out a couple months ago. It's called American Exit Strategy. It's book 1 of the Economic Collapse Chronicles, and it is a fictional account of the coming economic collapse. And inside there, I've woven a lot of good prepper information. So there's a lot of good prepper tips that where maybe you wouldn't read a survival manual, but you like a good, well-written fiction. And I am a Christian author, and so there's no foul language in there, and there's lots of good spiritual elements in there as well.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed your book. I mean, I'm Mark. I'm just going to be selfish with you. I don't care about your audio book. When are you coming out with book 2?
I'm hoping by the end of January or beginning of February.
I do my own audio in my head when I read it, so I don't need the. But no, it's an outstanding book, and I tell people this all the time: is that if you want to be entertained and actually get the knowledge, I mean, the American Exit Strategy. I read it, and it's just phenomenal. I mean, I actually use that when people ask me. Well, is there any good books? And I just tell them, like, well, do you want like a Boy Scout manual? Which, if you want that, then go to Fox. Oh, I did find the Foxfire books. I do have them listed on my site.
Oh, cool, awesome.
So you can get those on the products page. But I told them, I said, if you want a how-to kind of like manual, like Boy Scout manual, that's a great book. If you got a family member who's not into prepping but likes to read good fiction, and you want to kind of get them into prepping, I point them right to your book. And actually, the gentleman that I referred it to wrote back to me, and he's like, "Wow, this is a great book." And you learn. I love the fact that you interwoven the our forefathers' quotes, patriotic quotes in there, and the biblical passages, and then on top of that, the practical application of prepping into the story. I'm waiting for 2. So, like I said, I don't care about audiobooks. I want book number 2.
All right, Jeff. Well, we'll get it out soon. So, on that note, I guess I'm going to let you go and get back to writing. All
right, sir. Well, you take care of yourself. God bless you. And then until we talk to each other again next Thursday, my friend.
Next Thursday, we'll do the budget solar panel.
Budget solar. I'm
under $700 for 200 watts.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. So, all right, Mark. Take care of yourself, my friend.
All right. Take care.
Yep. Bye. There you go, Prepper Recon. Should I stay or should I go? That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. If the government's telling you to leave, I guess it's probably a time for you to leave. Now, one of the things that we didn't get into, because, that is a big ticket. Where do you go? Where do you leave? Where are you going to go? One of the things that I am doing right now is that we're looking for a camper. We've been perusing Craigslist for a motorhome, or not a motor, but a trailer. And also looking at land. So, the other good advice that I got out of that, and I hope you did too, is have a go no go list, so that when you're in a time of despair or emergency, the decision would already be made for you based upon your list. Because, as Mark said, is when people are in panic or scared or whatever, sometimes through that fog we make bad decisions. So if you have your no-go scenarios already written up, you can just fall back on that. It's kind of like an airplane pilot. We talk about, a pilot, like to fly. Used to like to fly. I haven't flown in a long time. Pilots surely can land and take off planes, but they have these things called checklists. And regardless of how many hours you've flown, be it a couple hundred to a couple thousand to thousands of hours, you still have that checklist. And that's part of your process. And that checklist tells you, all right, if this, do this, if this, do this, if this, do this. Any good flight instructor will say the first thing every good pilot should do in an emergency. The number one thing they should do, the first thing they should do in an emergency, I remember my instructor telling me this, is nothing. I know, you don't do nothing for long, but you stop. You stop what you're doing, and you assess the situation, and you make a decision. Now, we as pilots, you'd have a checklist. So you reach the checklist, and you say engine failure. And they do that. Pilots do that to this day. And they find that it works. You know, when the pilot Scully landed that plane in the Hudson, remember that? He had a checklist. Boom, boom, boom. Followed the book. So maybe we need to get checklists. Maybe that, cue cards. And then practice it with your family to make sure that they're on page. Especially when you have two adults in the house. One family member, not going to go. The other one needs to go. Well, maybe you need to have that conversation ahead of time, right? It's a very good takeaway. Duct tape, plastic. I'll be down at the hardware store this weekend. Great information. So you're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. You can join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That is www.themidnightpatriot.com. If you want to join us right now, and I haven't tested, I was told by our 800 provider that the system would transfer the calls. So you can give us a call at 1-800-580-4870. That's 1-800-580-4870. Give it a shot. Let me know if it works. If it doesn't, you can always call us at 347-205-9899. That's 347-205-9899. Let me know if the phone lines are working. And of course, you can reach us on Skype at the Midnight Patriot if you want to join the conversation. So tonight's another one of those nights. I had a great conversation with Mark, of course. We always do. Always have great conversation. But if you'd like to join us, feel free. Feel free to give us a call. Skype, give us a call on the phone. Let us know what's going on. So, actually, we have a caller now. Hey, caller, how are you? You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show. Hello, caller?
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, I can. Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, you doing all right, man?
I'm doing good. Hey, Chase, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. Hey, I just wanted to add up real quick. I'm part of a couple, like I said yesterday, a part of a couple prepper groups.
Sure.
And I post kind of regularly on there. With some medical supplies. I didn't want to step on Prepper's toes.
Yeah.
But just like on, in case that you can't get any kind of bandages.
Yep. Is that you ringing or is that me ringing?
Oh, that's me. I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
Just in case you can't get, bandages readily available.
Sure.
You can use eggs. And that'll be like a short-term antibiotic type of bandage.
Okay.
That you can use. You crack the egg, and then you get that little filmy piece.
Sure.
And you can actually use that. I posted that in several groups, and there's a lot of guys who do a lot of the the grid lockdown scenarios.
Sure.
And they said that it's worked wonders.
So let me get this correct. So what you do is you take an egg, and you crack the egg, and then the yolk of the egg, or the white of the egg.
No, if you look on the shell, there's like this little film.
Oh.
And I mean, you're going to have to really practice to actually, I guess, get it. But say if you crack your egg,
Mm-hmm.
you get that little film that's on the inside of
Gotcha.
eggshell. It's like the lining.
It's like it kind of comes off like mule skin, right? It's like a mule skin. I got you. That's an outstanding idea.
Yeah, I just wanted to call in real quick and touch base on that. Just wanted to let you guys know I'm actually getting ready to go do a meeting right now. But I just, like I said, I wanted to call in real quick and
Sure.
A quick heads up on that.
Sure. Outstanding information. I appreciate that. I'll have to try that. I use super glue.
Okay.
That's my thing. I keep a tube of. I am. That's why I don't carry sharp objects, because I have a tendency of cutting myself with them. So
and also, a good thing to have. I don't know if Prepper had touched on this. Actually, I left for probably about 35, 40 minutes. If you can, go to like eBay or Amazon. And look up an IFAK. And, for the guys who don't know what IFAKs are, it's the individual first aid kit.
Yes.
And that's what we used in combat when I was in Iraq. So, I mean, those are good to have. And they can range from anywhere from like $40 to $90 depending on where you go.
Sure.
Like I said, I just wanted to touch base with you real quick on that.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny because, my shooter bag, everybody laughs at me, but, actually I've got some converts and stuff. I actually, in my shooter bag, I always carry a couple condoms for chest wounds. They seal up chest wounds. I also carry a couple tampons and some maxi pads because they're sterile dressings that you can use, and especially with gunshot wounds and everything. I know people laugh at me about them, but I had a actual buddy of mine who was a parajumper in the Air Force, and he told me that. He said that would be the best, unless you have bandages, because everybody's got those. You don't have to go to a store and buy them. Everybody's got them sitting, usually, if you're married or whatever, you got them at the house. So, that was one of the things that he told me to do, and I do. I carry it in my bag. Of course, I get strange looks when I'm at the gun range, but I don't care. When someone's got a sucking chest wound because they inadvertently shot themselves.
Right.
We'll have.
Another thing, I know a big thing with the preppers is MRE bags.
Yes.
They told us if we couldn't, get something, when you have a sucking chest wound, you want something sterile.
Yes.
To put over the wound, that way, and you want to tape up 3 sides.
Yep.
That way, when you're breathing out, you're letting all the bad air out, and you don't get any bad air back in. Yep. Also, worst case scenario, the inside of an MRE bag is always sterile.
Okay.
So worst case scenario, say if you didn't have like duct tape, a tampon, something like that, you could put in, open up an MRE bag real quick and, quickly, rig up something for
sure,
chest
sure.
there.
Outstanding. That's great information.
So, like I said, I'm actually getting ready to go to another meeting for Snafu now. So I just wanted to call in real quick and, get up with you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for giving us a call and stuff. And, don't be bashful. Give us a shout sometime when you got some more time. We'd love to talk to you about your organization and what you guys are doing for the soldiers out there.
Oh, you got it. Also, just real quick, we got our website up.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
And it's through a third party. It's actually teamsnafu.moonfruit.com.
Okay.
And whoever wants to go check it out, we'd love to have you guys. It's got links to the Midnight Patriot.
Oh, thank you.
It's got links for Stolen Valor, and it's also got a link to our Facebook page.
Awesome.
Those three, I know the three organizations, the Midnight Patriot, Stolen Valor, and our organization are always willing to help out soldiers.
Awesome. Thank you.
So, like I said, I just wanted to give you guys a shout out real quick, and you'll always have a special spot in the Snafu Nation.
Thank you, my friend. And you're sir, I can't tell you, how much I appreciate it. My family appreciates everything you've done for us, and also our nation. I'll talk on behalf of our nation. I think I can do that. How much we appreciate what you've done, and and you're continuing to serve by helping out those that especially soldiers that need help and stuff. So I can't tell you how much it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel great to know that I'm part of an organization and that I'm associated with guys like you and Snafu and stuff. So, when you get time, I know you got to run. So, but when you get time and stuff, let's get you, let's tell our audience a little bit more about your organization. Let's get you on the books, and because it's very important and stuff. So, But I appreciate it, Jace.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, take care of yourself, my friend.
All right, you
Bye
too.
now.
Bye-bye.
There you go. This is a community kind of situation. It makes me feel great to know that people are starting to participate. If you want to participate in what we're doing here at the Midnight Patriot, give us a call, 1-800-580-4870. You can actually tell me if the system's working or not. These IT guys. I think when they all got fired from he don't fire anybody. I think when they all left Obamacare, they all came over here and they're working on our phone system. So it seems like I'm going to have to roll up my own sleeves and get this job done for them. But they said today it should be working. So let us know. Give us a call, 347-205-9899. Is this Sue?
This is Sue. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. I'm like the NSA. I knew it was you. I just knew. I didn't even have to look at the screen. I knew it was you.
I want to apologize in advance if I lose you. We've got a big snowstorm system coming in.
Now, you're in Idaho. Well, do you want me to tell people where you're at?
I am in Boise, Idaho.
Yep. So that's good to know, because that means in 10 hours we will have it. So that lets me kind of,
yeah.
And stuff. So you are the owner of Mountain View.
I am the owner of Mountain View Off-Grid Living.
Yes.
We just started advertising with you today.
Yes, and we appreciate it. Thank you for supporting our efforts here and everything. And I mean, it's just outstanding to know that we're starting to get quality, products and services that we can give out to the prepping and to the Patriot movement.
Well, we would like to thank you for doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you. It's a community. Everybody has a skill. I'm a firm believer of that, and we need to find out what our skills are first, and then we need to maximize them. So, you're already starting early for Christmas, correct?
That is correct. I started putting a Black Friday sale together and decided that's not what I want to do. So I'm starting a Christmas sale. I'm not going to have a Black Friday sale.
Okay.
This sale will run through Christmas.
Okay. Awesome. So what do you got now? Please tell me you got a Pro filter. Let me go down I'm going to be selfish here. I need a Pro Pure filter, and I need your stove. I was looking at we have normal heat, gas heat here, and I was looking at the chimney in which it's plumbed into, and I'm like, and I saw the stove that was on your site. So those are the two items I need right now. So please tell me those are on sale.
Those are on sale. In fact, I have the Kimberly stove and the Pro Pure filter as a package deal. If you buy the Kimberly stove for the regular price, you get a free Pro Pure filter. And the filter that you get is the big size. It is the medium-sized Pro Pure. It'll be for 2 to 4 people.
Sure. Wow. Now, I got to ask you, the Kimberly stove, I've been reading about that. Now, is that a stove that you can put, does that have to be plumbed in to your wall, or is it something that you can, run? I saw the picture where they ran it through the chimney. Is there any special plumbing for that?
No, you can run it through an existing chimney. What it is a stainless steel, high-efficiency wood stove. However, I say wood stove, but it's a multi-fuel stove. Okay. So you can burn wood, coal, charcoal, extruded logs. If you don't have anything else, you can burn dried animal dung in it.
Wow. Okay.
Now, the Kimberly stove has a secondary burn chamber in it, which makes it a high-efficiency stove. The smoke particles and the gases rise into that secondary burn chamber, and you get a second fire. So you get more heat out of less fuel. We have a dealer up in Alaska who last winter used the Kimberly stove as his only heat all winter, and he measured the wood that he used. Now, normally in a standard wood stove, depending on what climate you live in, you're going to burn through usually 4 to maybe 12 to 15 cords of wood in a winter, depending on how cold it gets.
Sure.
Now, he lives in Alaska. He used that as his only heat source all winter, and he used barely over 1.5 cords of wood.
Wow. That's incredible.
That's how efficient it is. You know, in a standard wood stove, you're going to be getting your bucket and your little shovel and getting ashes out of the stove probably once every day or two, and you have a pretty good-sized bucket. On the Kimberly stove, it has the tiniest little ash pan you've ever seen, and if you're running the stove 24/7, you're only going to have to empty that 2 or 3 times a week, and that's because it actually burns what you put in it.
Sure. You know, I'm looking at this thing now. How big is this? How much room should we give our?
Well, the Kimberly is way different than any stove you've ever seen.
Sure.
It's only 25.5 inches tall. It's 10 inches in diameter. That gives you a good-sized cook surface
Sure.
for a good-sized skillet or for a big pot of soup.
Okay.
Now, the Kimberly has a ceramic liner in it in the sides and the back, which allows you to put it as close as 8 inches to a wall. So not only can you use the Kimberly in your house or your cabin or your yurt or your tiny house, you can also use it in your camper, your fifth wheel, or your motorhome.
That's impressive.
And the Kimberly uses a 3-inch pellet stove type venting system. We went down to Lowe's and bought ours for right at $200. Now on a standard wood stove, a installation of the pipe is usually going to cost you around $1,200 to $1,500 just for the pipe.
Yeah.
So when you see the price of the Kimberly, it does seem a little high. There are reasons for that. It's a high-efficiency stove. Your people can look up high-efficiency stove on the Internet and see some of the prices up there. It's going to scare you.
Yeah, no.
So the Kimberly is inexpensive there, plus you save money on the piping,
Yes.
and you're going to save money on the fuel that you put into it.
Well, I to be honest with you, I like the fact that it is portable, so I can take it, you know, like you said, because we are looking at getting a motorhome, and then we're, you know, and the fact that it is portable, so we can put it in the motorhome, that's actually a plus for us. The fact that
it weighs 56 pounds.
Yeah, so that's...
When my husband went over a year ago to pick up our stove where they were doing a show, I told him before he left, if it's not up to our quality standards, leave it sitting where it is and come on back home.
Sure.
Well, he brought that little stove home, and I have to say that thing's built like a tank.
Yeah.
He picked it up by himself and carried it in the house.
Sure.
Now, if you have a standard wood stove, you've got to hope you have 6 or 8 good-sized friends and hope that they all show up when you go to move.
Yeah, exactly. I do know that. Yeah, it's funny because we actually...
Another thing I want to bring up, I want all your listeners to hear this, and a lot of people are not aware of this, but there is a new wood stove law that is going to take effect next year. And if your stove puts out more than 7.5 grams per hour emissions, you will not be able to use that stove. Now, the Kimberly only puts out 3.2 grams per hour, which is even far better than Washington State requires, and theirs is 4.5 grams.
Yep.
The Kimberly stove is also certified, it's UL listed, and it is certified to use in mobile homes.
See, and that's a huge plus. I mean, especially here.
This stove is amazing. This stove came about. The inventor of the stove lived in a boat over on Vashon Island in Washington State, and he knew a lot of the boat owners, and they were having a huge problem with condensation. They were heating with propane.
Yep.
And they were having a huge problem with mold and mildew.
Yes.
So that's why this stove came to be.
Gotcha.
And now that they're using this wood stove, it is a dry heat, and they're not having trouble with mold and mildew.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a sailor. I love sailboats, and so I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's a huge issue with the sail.
Big.
And especially we're here in the Great Lakes, so it still gets cold at night, even during the summer. In the spring and fall, and
right.
that is a huge issue.
Now the Kimberly is small.
Sure.
It's just, I've brought people into my house and to show them the stove, and they look around the room looking for it.
Sure.
And when I say, there it is, they say, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. The stove will heat up to 1,500 square feet of well-insulated structure.
Wow.
Now, the Kimberly, they just came out with a second stove. It's called the Katydid. Now, the Katydid is a much bigger stove. It puts out, the Kimberly puts out 40,000 BTUs, by the way.
Okay.
The Katydid puts out 85,000 BTUs and will heat up to 3,000 square feet. However, it only takes up a 1-foot footprint in your room.
But that's not portable, though, right? Correct? Or is it?
That one is not portable unless you're a big, strong guy, because that one weighs 160 pounds.
Gotcha. Okay. No, that actually, I'm on the site. So for all our listeners, go to mountainviewoffgridliving.com and look at these. I mean, I gotta save up. You know, we're unlike our government. I don't have unlimited printing capability with the presses. I can't push a zero.
I totally understand.
And stuff, but
we kind of jumped through some hoops to get our Kimberly, our personal one.
Yep.
We traded in vacation time at work and cashed in some silver bullion to have enough money to buy that. And I have to say, this is the wisest purchase we have made for our preps.
Sure. No, that was the one thing, because winter is upon us here in Wisconsin. And, last year we actually had, we had a significant 2 years ago, we had a significant snowfall where we were without power for about a day and a half. So I was, Sandy and I were talking about putting in a pellet stove to subsidize. And then I told her the only problem with a pellet stove is that it's one of those things that once it stays, it stays. So I was looking at different portable stoves, and of course we came across your site, and I'm looking at the Kimberly, and I'm loving the fact that I can use it at my home, and then on top of that, I can take it with me when we go camping or in the trailer, and then the fact that it is portable. I mean, that's just
exactly. Now there is an optional thermoelectric generator that you can buy with the Kimberly that creates electricity from the heat of the stove to recharge deep cell batteries, so you can still have your lights, charge cell phones, run your laptop or small appliances from the heat of that stove.
Wow. See, I didn't know that. And
they are going to be coming out very soon with a stainless steel oven that sits on top of it, so you'll be able to make bread or pies or whatever you want. And they're also coming out with a hot water coil system. It's still in production, where you'll be able to put your cold water line going in, your hot water line going out into your existing line, so you can wash dishes and have hot showers even if the grid is down.
Wow. I mean, that's
I tell
amazing.
people that the Kimberly stove is the must-have off-grid equipment.
Sure.
And none of us know. A lot of people say, well, I'm not planning to live off-grid.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that the people in the Philippines, or when the hurricane hit the East Coast, I'm sure they weren't planning to live off-grid either.
Yes. And I agree with you. I mean, it's so... we're all talking about the collapse and everything like that, but it could be a hurricane, it could be an earthquake, it could be a tornado. I mean, we have tornadoes in our area. It could be
disasters come in many forms.
Yeah.
And with so many people getting laid off, losing their jobs, that is a huge disaster if the power company comes and turns your power off.
Yes.
There's many, many types of disasters.
Yep. Well, it's funny because we're talking about, when we talk about prepping on the show and stuff, I tell people that what they need to do is take their money out of the bank. Obviously you need to have a little bit of savings, but take the money out of the bank and buy the things that you need to have to survive, be it food, be it whatever, because your money sitting in the bank right now is losing its value every day.
Exactly.
And so you might as well...
And the preparedness items that you purchase now will only gain in value.
Exactly. And actually, it was funny because Prepper Recon, we were talking about soup and how we were joking Campbell's. I used to buy Campbell's at 25 cents a can, and then when I was in college, and then it was 50 when I got out. And then I went to the store with Sandy the other day. The same can that I used to buy for 50 cents and stuff is now $1.25.
Exactly.
And Mark, pointed out a great point. He said, well, why don't you buy up as much as you possibly can? He goes, because in a year at the inflation rate and stuff, you're saving yourself about 40 cents. And,
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Now, what I do is I'm a master dehydrator.
Sure.
I dehydrate things that most people think they can't dehydrate. And so I pick a little of this and a little of that out of my baggies and make soup that way.
Gotcha. And that maybe we're I don't know if you caught the last end of what Mark and I were talking about, canning and stuff. I have a small, Walmart style dehydrator, and I've used it to make chips and the little, I would call it trinket food, not anything real serious. And I've just never had any good success with doing anything that I could regenerate, and it would taste, somewhat as good. Now I have freeze-dried food and stuff here that I eat, and my stuff never comes out as good as the freeze-dried stuff. What, do you have any suggestions? What are some of the things that we're doing wrong, maybe?
I don't know, because when I rehydrate my things that I have dehydrated and then have people over for dinner, they don't believe me that I dehydrated that food. It tastes exactly like I cut up fresh food.
Now, are you using your oven, or are you using an actual, like a commercial grade dehydrator?
I have an American Harvest Garden Master dehydrator.
Okay. Yeah. See, and I think that's what the problem is.
Yeah, I've used several different kinds, and that is the one that does the best job for me.
Now, do you have that on your site, or no?
I do not have that on my site. I bought mine off of Amazon.com for $150, and that included shipping.
Oh, wow. And that's
yeah.
Let me write
it comes with 8 trays. You can go up to 32 trays on this thing, but let me tell you, you do not want to peel enough food to fill 32 trays at one time.
Okay.
8 trays. I had 16 for a while. That is a full day's work.
Okay.
One little trick that I learned that is working extremely well is, you know how some fruits will turn dark after you've dehydrated them?
Yep.
A lot of people use Fruit Fresh. It still turns dark. I got a book on how they preserved food in the Middle Ages. And in this book, it said to get a bowl of water, put in a half a cup of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of salt, and stir that until the salt dissolves. And then when you slice up your fruit, slice it into that bowl and let it sit for 2 or 3 minutes, and then put it on your dehydrator.
Sure. I mean, I've known that you can do like citrus and stuff. That's a great thing. Now,
the vinegar and salt does not change the taste of the food.
Okay.
And I have yet to have any of it turn dark at all.
So you actually use fresh fruit that you get. Now, what I would do is that we would go to a store or whatever, and they would have, say, a bag of fruit that was on sale frozen for $1. And so we would just buy a bunch of that, and that's what I would freeze dry. So maybe the problem is that I'm using a frozen fruit.
No, you can do that.
Oh, can you? Okay.
You can do that, but if you find bags of fruit for $1, yes, buy them.
Okay. Well, that's what
you don't find that anymore.
No, you don't. I mean, like I said, is that we'll go to, they'll have we have well, everybody pretty much in there, but in our area, we have a great shopping, a huge supermarket. It's called Woodman's, and it's family owned, and it's employee owned, and every once in a while, I mean, they actually have a prepping section right there, and an incredible gluten-free section and stuff. So it's, this thing is it's a warehouse. It's kind of like a huge warehouse of nothing but food. But, and every once in a while we'll get bulk packages of fruit. But like I said, I just never had any luck. So maybe, this time I'll, and I think a lot of it too is my dehydrator. I bought one at Walmart, and I, paid the cheapest amount that I possibly could. So it's like everything else, you get what you pay for, right?
Now, I know people who have bought those Ron Cup dehydrators.
Yeah.
And they're, don't waste your money.
I think that's what I got.
You need one with a fan in it. You need one with a temperature control on it, because different foods you dehydrate at different temperatures.
Gotcha. See, mine doesn't. It's basically you plug it in and it just runs. It has a fan.
The problem.
Yeah, it has a fan, but you don't adjust the temperature. It just, So okay,
Right.
So I'll take a look, because I'm definitely gonna over this. So, we were thinking about things you can do with your kids, and I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, I still have a daughter in junior high, and you got to look at things to do with your family. And I was thinking, actually, something we're teaching her, but we're also doing something together as a family. And I was thinking about the canning and the dehydrating and stuff, because she likes her banana chips and dehydrated.
Right. Now, I sell a full line of long-term food storage also.
Yep.
I have Augustin Farms, and some of it is dehydrated and some of it is freeze-dried.
Okay.
There are certain foods that don't store very long being dehydrated, like broccoli. It needs to be freeze-dried.
Sure.
And I also sell the meats and everything.
Yep.
People need to stock back meats, because a lot of people say, well, I'm just going to go hunting. Well, there's several million people that are saying the exact same thing. How long do you think that wild meat's going to be out there?
Yes. Yes.
So you need to plan for protein in your storage.
Yes. No, we talk about that, is that the, Prepper Recon, the national, I live right outside of Chicago, so you got 7 million people that are going to be going to the forest preserves. And,
exactly.
you're not going to be able to find a bird.
And we also sell Sunmore composting toilets. A lot of people, that never occurs to them, if they are on the city sewer and the power grid goes down for any length of time, that after about a month or two, at the most, your city sewer won't work.
Yep.
And so we also have a mobile unit for the composting toilets that can go in boats and campers, anything that's going to be on the move.
Now, I can tell you, I actually use Sunmar toilets. I know all about them, and they're outstanding. I actually got introduced. I had a friend who had a cabin, and the city came in and told him that he had to put in the drain field and all of that, the septic system, and had to perk, and he had to have a mound. In Wisconsin, you have to have what they call a mound system. So you got this cabin in the middle of God's country, and then right in the middle of your yard, you got this huge mound that the septic. So he actually put in a Sunmar system, for his whole cabin, and that thing is incredible.
Yes. They are the only composting toilet that has every certification possible in the industry.
Yes.
I've been selling for them for about 17 years.
Yeah.
I don't know how many, a lot.
Yes.
I have never once had anybody come back and say they didn't like it.
No, he showed me his system. It was, I can tell you, it was, if I could fit one in my sailboat, and it would be easy because, the brown water and all that stuff, we would have done, we got rid of our boat, so there's no reason. But I am truly sold on that product, without a doubt, because I saw, he had the big collection, because he had a home, he had 4, he had it in his house, and he actually had the collection system in his basement, and, and it had the dryer in it and everything, and he was showing me, and this thing was just, it was amazing. He had zero connection to the sewer.
What is amazing is you use it for a month or so, and then when the drawer below gets full, you take it and dump it outside and put it back in, and you're ready to go again.
Yeah. No, you would think this nothing. Except the toilet. Now, he had one, I'm looking at your site now, he had toilets that actually looked like toilets. The ones that you're...
He had the Centrex system.
Yes.
The ones I have on my website currently, I sell the Centrex also.
Okay.
The ones I have on my website right now are the completely enclosed ones.
I got you, the self-contained. I got you.
Self-contained, yes.
Got you. So, no, like I said, if you're looking at, and this is the way he justified it, he had to put this mound. Number one, these things are ugly. If you're in Wisconsin, you'll know, because there's the mound systems is the way that their septic works. So you have this huge mound in your front yard or wherever they put it, and then on top of, and all the maintenance and everything. And by the time you're done building that out, I think he said about $5,000 in buying the Centric system over doing the mound. And he's like, I don't have to worry about, anything. He goes, he takes the compost. They take the compost and use it for, in their garden and everything. So it's
exactly. Now, see, here in Idaho, we have a little bit different problem. Is when you get up in the mountains, you may be sitting on solid granite. There's nothing to dig into.
Gotcha.
So the composting toilets work very well up in the mountains because you don't have to put in a septic system. You don't have to run sewer lines. The only thing you have to have is a vent pipe going to the outside because the moisture has to go somewhere.
Yes. Yeah, you got it when you
That's
escape.
it.
Yep.
Now, you're on my website. I invite all of your listeners to go to mountainviewoffgridliving.com.
Yep.
We have a full line of camo BDUs. That's the battle dress uniforms,
Yep.
the military wears. We have every camo style available. We have a huge line of knives. The Calico Forge knives are made right here locally by an Iraq vet.
Okay.
He knows what you need in a knife, and he does it. Those knives, you hold it in your hand, you immediately feel the quality of this knife.
Sure.
And he has several different ones. So I invite your listeners to go and just go through my website. We are adding more items every week, so keep checking back. And we will be adding more items to our Christmas sale. We're in the process now. I hope to have it up by the end of the week to have a bug out bag on there that has all the basics that you will need. And then you just add all your personal things to it, and you'll be ready to go.
Sure.
There's a lot of people who are just now waking up to the realization that they need to be prepared for something. None of us knows what that something will be, but we just know that we need to be prepared.
Yes.
And so those people that are just waking up, if they have any questions, they can email me at mountainviewoffgridliving@yahoo.com, or they can give me a call at 208-615-6331. We're open from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. That's Mountain Time every day. I've been prepping for 30 years, way before it was mainstream. And if there's a mistake to have been made, I've probably already made it. So I'll probably be able to save you a lot of time and money and heartache. If you want to call and ask me a question, you're more than welcome to.
Sure. No, we'll definitely get the word out. I mean, it's great to know that you're there and that you're a sponsor of the show and everything. And I want to tell the audience here, I know there's other shows such as ourselves and stuff, and they, we're not doing this to get rich. I mean, we're the advertising. Anybody wants to see our advertising rate, they can go out to the site and click advertise with us, and they're going to see the rate that we charge, including the promo. I mean, we're out to get the information out to people. I mean, like I said, this is not, when we calculated up our advertising and stuff, we figured out what it would take to operate and to continue to do what we're doing, and to be able to advertise the show itself, and the prices reflect that. I mean, we're not getting kickbacks from Sue and her organization or any of our advertisers. We just charge a flat rate, and that's it. And and the reason why we have Sue is because we believe in what she's doing. We like her products, and so I highly recommend, if you're looking for the prepper, especially if you're new to this, because I am new to this as well. I don't have the experience that Prepper Recon or Sue at Mountain View has. You got to be able to turn to people that you can trust. And like I said, Sue is accessible. She can, like she just told you, she's probably made every mistake possible, and that's that's incredible.
And I would like to add that we're not in this to get rich either.
Yeah.
We're in this to get, the more people that are prepared, the better off all of us will be.
Yes.
We are, any money that I'm making off of this, I'm buying product and giving it away to people who are trying to prepare.
Sure.
Like, I'm not in this to make a fortune like some of the other advertisers that I've heard.
Yes.
So I would appreciate your business. Yep. Because we are passing it on.
Yep. No, absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing is that I'm looking at your prices, and they're just, I mean, it's it's incredible. I mean, it's obvious. I was going to ask you, are you going to be around Because I've been looking for the Pro Pures and all of that, and very comparable and to the prices are out there.
Well,
so
Pro Pure, several of the companies that I deal with, I'm not allowed to reduce the price.
Gotcha.
I have to sell it at that price, or I will lose my dealership. So how I get around some of those little things is, if you buy a Kimberly stove, I will give you a free Pro Pure water purification system.
Well, the other thing too, though, I think which is also important is the fact that you answer your phone and you're willing to discuss this with your customers and stuff. I've got
a customer back in Massachusetts. A day rarely goes by that he's not emailing me, asking me questions. He's just getting started, and he doesn't know what to do.
Sure.
He doesn't know how much to store or what to store.
Yes, and I think that's critical. The fact that I've called the other companies, and of course we'll just buy our package. They're like, well, wait a minute, do I really need 6 cans of high energy drinks when we're older? We don't want diabetes. And stuff.
That's the one thing I do. If you'll look on my website, I don't have any 3-month, 1 year, 2-year packages.
Yes.
That's because I personally would not buy one.
Yeah.
There's stuff in there we would not eat.
Yeah.
I want to store back. It takes a lot of room to store food.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to store something that I know that we're not going to eat.
Yep. No, I wish I would have known, because I think we probably spent, but you know what? Lesson learned. We do have it. I mean, it's just, but we're going to be,
this is a learning process. Yes, it is.
Yep. We'll get some more, like I said, we're definitely going to, my plan. We talked about it, how I purchase our survival, our prep food. And so you'll be hearing from us at the first of the year and everything. But of course, you'll be hearing.
I look forward to that. I thank you so much for allowing me to come on your program and talk to your listeners. Yep. And I look forward to talking to some of your listeners and helping them.
Sure. Absolutely. So that's Sue with Mountain View Off-Grid Living. You can reach her on the web, of course, at her website, which is mountainviewoffgridliving.com. You heard her. She said give her a call. And seriously, every time I've called her and talked with her via Facebook and stuff, we've always been able to hook up. So it's not one of those things. Now, you got to understand, when you got one person, be patient with her. Don't, think that, just because you call her, you're going to get her on the first try. Give her a couple times, because we're going to be throwing a lot of business her way, hopefully, right? So, so with that, wow, what a show. I mean, this thing is getting better every day. Every day that we do a show here at the Midnight Patriot, I mean, we just get so much better. It's funny, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a huge producer, a big producer in some mainstream talk radio, and he said the art of broadcasting is what you have to be better at and get better at. And I think we're doing that. It's been a great evening and stuff. We're going to take a small break here. When we get back from the break, we'll kind of wrap up some of the news, some of the things that we were talking about a little bit earlier and everything. You are listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. That is www.themidnightpatriot.com.
America, welcome home the brave. The brave men and women who serve their country are coming home. Home to their cities and towns. Home to their mountains and valleys. Home to their families and friends. Home to America. Some of these warriors are coming home with wounds you can see, and some with wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Wounded Warrior Project was created to provide the support these wounded veterans need to ensure their return to America is well-adjusted and successful. But we need your help to ensure that our mission is a success. Help us honor and empower these wounded warriors. Contact us at findwwp.org. America, welcome home the brave.
Well, they say that the country's done. They say that the stock market's gonna crash. They say that every single one of us is gonna lay down while they walk across our back. but I'ma stand up. I'm gonna put my fists in the air. No, I don't wanna have to bring my guns, but I'll be ready if it goes there. But you can lay down if you wanna, you can run away if you wanna, you can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna, you can play dead if you wanna, get what they said if you wanna, turn your back on the country and you right now, but I don't wanna. So let's stand up, put our fists in the air. No, we don't wanna have to bring our guns, but we'll be ready if it goes there. Cause we're the epitome of what's left of the USA. We're hard-working, honest, and we make our money the good old-fashioned way. But you can lay down if you wanna, you can run away if you wanna, you can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna, you can play dead if you wanna, forget what they said if you wanna, turn your back on the country and you right now, but I don't wanna. No, I don't wanna. We'll say that the comes fine with a little hard work and prayer. We can get her back on her feet, cause I believe she belongs there. So let's stand her up and brush off the dirt and dust. A lady liberty needs our help from every single one of us. But you can lay down if you wanna, you can run away if you wanna, you can pretend that tyranny is totally okay if you wanna, you can play dead if you wanna, get what they said if you wanna, turn your back on the country needing you right now, but I don't wanna. No, I don't wanna. But I don't wanna. No, I don't wanna. So let's stand up, put our fists in the air. No, we don't wanna have to bring our guns, and we'll be ready if it goes there, yeah. So let's stand up, put our fists in the air. No, we don't wanna have to bring our guns, no, we don't wanna have to bring our guns, but we'll be ready if it goes there. Ready if it goes there. Ready if it goes there. Ready if it goes.
In a moment, cancer changed our lives forever.
We were told nothing could be done to enjoy these final moments together.
But in that moment, when all seemed lost, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital gave us hope.
Because at this moment, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is saving lives with pioneering research and care. We're changing the way the world treats childhood cancer by sharing our discoveries with doctors and scientists everywhere.
And we'll never have to pay St. Jude for anything, ever.
At this moment, she wants to be in her own bed.
I want to be back at school with my friends. I want to be outside playing.
Please take a moment and join St. Jude in finding cures and saving children.
You're listening to Midnight Patriot Radio Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us here every Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. till 12 a.m. Central Standard Time, 24/7 on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. And, of course, you can always download our podcast from iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn, all of the major podcast syndicators carry our show. Even Xbox Music. You can get us on if you're running a Windows CE environment or a Windows 8. You can download us through through Xbox Music. We're getting out there. And someday you'll be able to get us on iHeartRadio. We're in the process of changing over our format to accommodate it. Now, for those that are concerned that we're going to go corporate, let me just stress something to you. It's not that bad. We're just going to put in a little bit different ads, better promos, and all of that stuff. Get on a regular schedule as well. So for those advertisers, it's just things you got to do. We want to get our message out there. It's all about the message, not the personalities and everything. As you can see, we're genuine here. Good American patriot people wanting to make change. All of our guests, all of the people that call in are just great American people, great American patriots. Now, on that note, we do add roughly about 250 new listeners a week. That's incredible. That is incredible. And I just want to say thank you. And the way that we do that is by you telling your friends, your family, posting our shows on Facebook. All of our shows you're more than welcome to download. You're more than welcome to download. We ask, though, that, because, Madison Rising, Dave Bray, the Madison Rising allows us to use their music in our show. And when we ask that, that you respect that. If you love the Madison Rising music and everything, and you want to use it maybe for your show, for your podcast, please contact them. They're great people, great patriots. It's all about the message. But please contact them. Do the right thing. It's amazing that sometimes just doing the right thing up front will save you a lot of problems in the back end. And if you like their music, just get the CD. Their CD is a lot better quality than we'll ever be able to put over this connection. So buy their CD. You can buy the MP3, download it right to your iTunes device or whatever device you're using, whatever the flavor of the week is, right? You can get it from Amazon, but go out to their website, MadisonRising.com. Let them know that you heard about us or them through us when you purchase it. So that way, we got to help each other out. As Sue said earlier, as Prepper Mark, Prepper Recon, as Major Pandemic, Stone Anthony, all the contributors to our show have said, we're not doing this to get rich. We're not doing this to build a media empire and to have TV studios and do, and get kickbacks from our vendors. We're not here to do that. We're not here to drum up speculation in the sense of to put people in a state of fear. We know things are coming, and we'll report on those things as they happen or as we think they're coming. But we're not here to scare people. There's enough news out there that is true, that we don't have to put our scare tactics on it. You'll never get that. And if you do, let me know. I'll be the first one to tell you when I'm wrong. I'll make a correction. That's why also, we list our sources. We have been doing some changes to the website, and so we are changing the way that we do list our sources. That's why you haven't seen them, but they're all out there. They're all out there. If you want to go, if you want to see our sources, go to Zotero, Zotero, Zotero.com, put in the Midnight Patriot, and you'll see the list. But we are going to be reposting those again. But we're, trying to, because we got issues with Google. The Googler didn't like the way that we were doing it. So we were getting penalized. But we're fixing that. So we'll get those sources. But we keep all of our sources, and we'll start reposting those again from every show, from the very first show all the way to today. So, but like I said, we're adding users, listeners, every day. And the way that we're doing that is just because of you. You're reposting our shows. You're telling people about us. You're getting involved. You're doing things. that are helping us grow the show. And it's all about getting the message out there. You know, if you're a small business and you want to contribute, you know, through an ad, we'll work with you on that. You know, but more importantly, like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. We won't spam you with cute kittens and crazy. As much as we like those pictures and make us laugh, we're only going to talk to you about stuff that we put on our show from our contributor authors. And we're going to have some mainstream politicians, people that you know, you've heard. They're going to be joining us on the show in the next couple of weeks. Holidays, it's kind of rough right now. People are moving around. And we're going to have some very mainstream news commentators, people that you hear on other shows. And it's amazing the fact that they're going to participate in our conversations here at the Midnight Patriot. But there's one conversation that we need to have every night. And for those that don't know, those that don't know, because we do have new listeners, we do every night's a Veterans Day here at the Midnight Patriot. We honor those that have paid the ultimate price in our freedoms and everything. We will do that. As long as there are soldiers putting themselves in harm's way, we will respect and honor them. So we do this segment every night, and it's called Honor the Fallen. Army Sergeant, First Class, Forrest W. Robertson, November 3rd, 2013. If you are a soldier, active duty, retired, discharged, and you need help, whatever it may be, if it's filling out paperwork, you know, helping you with issues, financial, legal, whatever it is, if you are a soldier and you need any kind of assistance, you can reach out to me at the Midnight Patriots, Jeff at themidnightpatriot.com, and we will get you the services that you need. We are connected to a network of veterans and veterans organizations, and we can move mountains for you. You know, I want to let you know there is no obstacle that we can't overcome together as long as we stay together. Please reach out to us. Reach out to us. If you're a family member of a soldier and you're in a situation and you need help and you need assistance, please, once again, we tell you that we're here for you. It still applies to you as well. If you're a family member of a soldier who has lost their son, their daughter, their husband, their wife, our hearts go out and our prayers go out to you. And if there's anything we can do to help you, please contact us. Regardless of what people's political beliefs are about the war, about the soldiers, you need to respect the young men and women that put on this nation's uniform. You see them in the streets, go up to them, look them in the eye, shake their hands and thank them. Buy them coffee, buy them dinner. Even though this country and this administration has turned its back on our soldiers, we as patriots will never turn our back on you. Take us up on it. Give us a call. Send us an email. May God bless you. May God bless your family, and may God bless the United States of America. Wow. That music was actually provided by Dave Bray at Madison Rising. Highly recommend that you go out to their website. It's just great that they allow us to use their music in our tributes and actually during our show. It's just incredible. You know, we got a few more minutes left here as we roll into the end of the day. All's not lost. All's not lost. I know that we sit around and we talk about, you know, everything that's going on, and we talk about issues, and we talk about things that are going. All's not lost, and I know it's not lost because, you know, I talk to fellow patriots. I know that, you know, once we band together, we can do miraculous things, right? I think our government's starting to sense that. They're scared of it. You know, they're scared of it. They're attacking our Christian values. They're attacking our constitutional values, our constitutional rights, the Second Amendment, even our freedom of speech. They're attacking that. They're trying to take that away from us. They're trying to turn this country into a control state where they have complete, utter control over our lives and everything we do. But it's starting to turn. And we need to, you know, this is not when we need to relax. This is not when we need to get comfortable. This is when we need to turn up the heat. We need to hold their feet to the fire. We need to demand accountability. We need to march and we need to protest. And if necessary, we need to meet force with force. We need to let this government know, this administration, that we're not going to take it anymore. That we're not going to be the slaves that they want us to be. It might have worked for a certain segment of American society, but it ain't going to work for this segment, for us American patriots. They're not going to keep us in financial slavery. They're not going to put us into financial slavery. They might have encumbered themselves in this nation, but they did not encumber us as patriots. We will fight for what we have, and we will defend our land. They need to know that. However way you want to do that, I'm not advocating violence. I just want to stress that. I'm advocating freedom. But God willing, if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. You know, we talk about the 3%, for those that don't know. In history, we're taught about the American Revolution and how these men came together and they created this great nation, right? But one thing that you are not taught about, there was only about 15%. And some would say 3%. That's where the 3% comes in. 3% of the American people created this great nation. The rest of the American people were willing to be subjects to the crown of England. It is said, and history supports it, that by the end of the Revolutionary War, there were actually more Americans fighting with the King of England than that were fighting with the Revolutionary, with George Washington. Yeah. A small amount of people can do a vast amount of change. So not all is lost. There is still hope. Keep the pressure on. Part of the pressure is too, it's coming out. We need to keep the pressure on Benghazi. When the government tells you, or when an individual tells you there's nothing there, there's something there. We all know. Now, of course, the government, with the use of the media, this is my take on what happened with the 60 Minutes interview. They allowed it to happen, knowing that they were going to discredit this man. You can't tell me, with all the surveillance and everything like that, you can't tell me that no one Googled the young man's background. No one checked it out. I don't know if it was truthful and they just slandered him. I don't know. But my theory is this. They allowed the story to go, knowing that they were going to discredit him, knowing that then at that point any further conversations about Benghazi would automatically come under suspicion. That's my thought. That's my thought. But Benghazi's not going away. And we're finding out now. Valerie Jarrett, some would say she's actually running the country. The trifecta. Obama, Michelle, and Valerie. Long-time confidant of the president. They don't make any bones about it. She does influence some policy. But according to the conservative report and reported on by Rush Limbaugh, the Obama disappeared he disappeared for 8 hours. No one knew where he was at during the September 11th. Well, we knew where he was at. He was campaigning. During September 11, 2012 attack on Benghazi consulate, Valerie Jarrett took charge and may actually have given the stand-down order. Yep. You had a person who was not elected by the American people, who did not answer to the United States military, or the military did not have to answer to her, giving direction and ultimately the stand-down order in Benghazi. That's treasonous. That's criminal. Got to keep the pressure up. Got to get to the answers. And I don't care how many times we need to drag them in front of the Senate. We need to treat them like you would treat a criminal who refuses a subpoena from the United States justice system. You need to drag them in front of the Senate or drag them in front of the court. Either way, they need to answer for what they've done. And we need to demand that. We need to meet them at their rallies, at their meetings, and wherever it is, and we need to demand justice. Did you know that any district attorney in the United States can file a federal charge against them? So if they're not willing to answer to the Senate, maybe we need to get a district attorney in the community to make them answer. Make them answer. So there you go. Valerie Jarrett might have given the stand-down order. Possibly. So we're looking at that. Eric Holder, Fast and Furious. The government's wanton violation of the federal laws, their own laws. For whatever reason, political, treaty, whatever they were trying to do. I have my suspicions, but like I said, I'll hold those until I can prove them. Articles of impeachment are being filed. Nearly a dozen GOP House members have introduced articles of impeachment against Attorney General Eric Holder. MSNBC is reporting. It's not Fox, MSNBC. Representative Pete Olson, representative of Texas, drafted the articles telling Reuters on Wednesday it was not an easy decision to make, but one that has been done given Holder's conduct in office. Once again, his wanton, willful, blatant disregard for the law, his obvious lying under testimony to the Senate, to the Congress of the United States, over the NSA, his not inability, but his inaction to prosecute or to file prosecution against laws that were committed against political members in the versus the IRS. We know that FEC laws were violated. He sat up there and told Congress he'd get to the bottom of it, but then when later questioned about it, he didn't know anything about it. Remember that? The murder of a U.S. Border Patrol agent by a program that he oversaw and supported. It is time. It's time that we put their feet to the fire and we hold them accountable. Every time they are out in public, we need to make sure that they know that we have not forgotten about it. They need to make sure that they know that we will never forget about it. And I'm sorry, this is a textbook from Saul Alinsky. Let's use their playbook against them. We need to organize, we need to be vocal, and we need to demand justice. I'm telling you, every chance you get, where these women are speaking, you need to disrupt the meetings, and you need to let them know that we are going to hold them accountable. Once again, we need to find attorney generals who are willing to file the charges against them. If they're unwilling to go to the Senate and answer a subpoena within the Senate, then we need to make sure that they answer the subpoenas within the court of law. I know we have attorneys listening. I'm reaching out to you on behalf of this country. What can we do legally to make these men and women accountable for their treacherous and their illegal actions? They would have no problem prosecuting us, locking us up, calling us enemy combatants, looking into our financial backgrounds, spreading lies and mistrust amongst ourselves. They would have no problem whatsoever doing it. They would have no problem committing laws, violating our or breaking laws, violating our constitutional rights to unlawful search and seizure. None whatsoever. So what do we need to do to turn the heat up on them? I ask of you. I know we have attorneys that listen to this show. I know for a fact. I talk to you. We need your help. We need to file the motions, the briefs. They want to fight, let's take it to them. They want to fight in popular opinion in the court of law, let's take it to them. Let's take the fight to them. I'm game. Whatever we got to do. We need to, we got them on the backside. The President of the United States today, the reason why I'm turning up the heat, you never really hear this from me, the reason why I'm turning up the heat is because you saw a scared man standing up on that podium today. You saw a scared man. And we need to turn up the heat. It's not an act of contrition on his part. He is running scared. He is running scared. He knows he is caught. He knows it. That's why he was up there apologizing. Because he couldn't twist it, he couldn't spin it, and he sure in the heck wasn't going to sell it to the media anymore. That's what you saw. And we talk about, but in the same day, though, he's still trying to erode this country. We talk about, the Iranian sanctions. Wanting to lift the Iranian sanctions. Let them have a little bit of breathing room so they can build more weapons of mass destruction against us. They made it perfectly clear what they're going to do with them. So why would you even allow them that opportunity? Once a snake, always a snake, Mr. President. You can nurture it, you can cuddle it, you can bring it back to life, but when you release it and it turns back and bites you, don't ask it why it bit you. It's a snake. But of course, that's your design. That's what the people you answer to want. Because they know out of conflict, they get control. They know that. Don't let this president create conflict so that others can get control of us. As they orchestrate from their ivory towers. And they squash us and our religious beliefs. Don't let that happen. We talk about today, the president was quizzed quite a bit on immigration, the amnesty bill. One thing that he didn't say is the people. What do the people want? He talked about I don't know if you guys caught that. He talked about, the corporations are behind it. Well, absolutely the corporations are behind it, Mr. President. It doesn't take a rock science to figure that out. It's called cheap labor. Corporations have been trying not to pay its people for a long time. For a very long time. So of course they're going to be, so they shouldn't even be in the argument. They want you to pass it so they get cheap labor. Microsoft wants you to pass it so they can get cheap labor. They can replace technology, good paying technology jobs with cheap menial, labor jobs. So of course they're behind it. Obviously the immigrants are behind it because they want to be able to escape the persecutions that they have to face in Mexico and other countries. Because the United States is still a great country. As hard as you try to tear it down and destroy it, it's still a great country, Mr. President. So of course they want to be here. They want a piece. But the problem is that you're giving them a piece of a pie which you have no right to give them. This is a decision by the American people. And you're circumventing that decision, and you're not listening to the American people. The American people have made it very clear. They are not for amnesty. They are for enforcement, Mr. President. They are for enforcement. Now, there are certain individuals that have determined that in order for them to get more power, they can buy the votes by giving amnesty to certain particular people that will tend to vote for them. So thus you can have more power, but you can dilute it. But the thing is the bank is dry. You can't squeeze it out of the middle class anymore. We don't have it to give. So you can buy all the votes you want to, but the problem is you're going to have a lot of hungry, starving people who are going to demand justice eventually. It's a no-win situation even for your party. Because eventually, like all parasites, they kill the host. And when the host dies, the parasite is going to be looking for revenge. And then you can try to think that they're going to turn it on us, against us, the middle class. Is that what you're trying to do, Mr. President, is make the middle class the new Jews? Is that what it is? Or is that what you're demonizing us? I don't know. But what I do know is that no more. No more, Mr. President. We will fight you. We will call you out. We will oppose you in every shape, form, fashion, and manner. You're listening to the Midnight Patriot radio show and podcast. Join us on the web at www.themidnightpatriot.com. Please make sure you get our message out to your friends, your families. Like us on Facebook. Share our podcast, our show. Follow us on Twitter. We're not going to spam you with a bunch of stuff. Only stuff about the show. If you'd like to be a guest on the Midnight Patriot radio show podcast, let me know. Send me an email, jeff@themidnightpatriot.com. All patriots are welcome to discuss the issues of the day. You don't have to be an expert. We just ask that you be respectful, obviously. May God bless you. May God keep you until we talk again, my fellow patriots. Good night.